Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free right now. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
Your weekly dose of romance and drama has arrived. Season 29 of The Bachelor is here, and Grant Ellis, certified hottie and former day trader, is trading his day job on Wall Street for a second chance at everlasting love. New episodes drop every Monday at 8/7 Central, bringing you fresh twists in Grant's journey to find his soulmate. This self-proclaimed mama's boy is all grown up and ready to invest his heart. Will his playful charm win over the house full of hopefuls, or will the competition prove too intense? From heartfelt moments to adrenaline-pumping dates, each week brings new surprises in the mansion. Will Grant find his perfect match or end up with a broken heart? Tune in every Monday at 8/7 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu for new episodes of The Bachelor.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello, and welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Oh, yay, indeed, Jimmy. Yay, indeed.
You surprised me.
Oh, did what? The headphones in the studio throw you off a little?
These microphones.
He acted like I walked into his bedroom and said, "Welcome to Crime and Sports." Through the covers, yay!
Wait, what?
My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you so much for joining us this week, and I'm glad we're having fun right off the bat because this is going to be a nonstop ride of death-defying insanity. Yeah. This is a crazy episode. We did a little part of this episode in episode 7. Mm-hmm. This is our first revisit ever. We did a little part in episode 7, and it's grown to be so much bigger than that. Yeah. And so we need to tell you what he's been up to, and it's enough to fill an entire episode. And we'll talk about his past indiscretions in case you didn't hear the first episode.
Terrific.
But let's get into it here. First of all, thank you so much for your iTunes reviews this week. Apple Podcasts, the purple icon. They help us a lot. Thank you for those. They really help drive us up the charts. So if you haven't done it yet, please give us 5 stars. Doesn't matter what you say, because it's not for our ego. It's just to help. It's business purposes. So give us 5 stars. Tell us you're following instructions, following directions. It does not matter, but it does help a lot. So it's a good way to help out the show. Also, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com for all of your needs, all of your merchandise, t-shirts and things like that. You can get a t-shirt. You can wear it to a live show because we have a Crime and Sports live show on the books, October 19th in Phoenix, Arizona. Jimmy,
where?
What's the name?
CB Live.
CB Live is the name of it. It's this kind of the sister club to the place we were at last time with Small Town Murder.
It's up there at Desert Ridge. It's Tatum in the 101.
They know how to treat you well. It's a very, very good. People don't know what that means. Hopefully, if you're in Phoenix, you're going to come to the show. Maybe you know what it means. But check that out. We don't know. They're going to go on sale sometime in the next couple weeks or week or so. But you can break their balls all you want.
You can
call them, email them, do things that you need to do.
When can I buy tickets?
Yeah, tweet at them, do all that shit because they'll put them on sale soon. That's one thing. Clubs will always fold to pressure. Right. So if you want them now, you bother them and they'll put them on sale sooner.
That's the thing about clubs.
Than later.
They love business.
Yeah, if they're like, hey, there's people with money that want to give it to us. Should we take it? Right. Generally, someone in charge will go, yeah, take it. Yeah, go ahead and do that. Yeah, we'll do that. That's kind of what we do here. We sell tickets to things. Awesome. Right. Great. So we're in. So do that. Buy those tickets. It's going to be a lot of fun. And without further ado, man, we need to get into this. Oh, well, also, if you want to help out the show even more and be one of our heroes, our producers, who we're going to talk about at the end of the show in glowing terms, as we always do, you can do that very easily by going to patreon.com/crimeandsports or head over to PayPal and use our email address, which is crimeandsports@gmail.com. You can make a one-time donation there, and both of those links you can get to right from shutupandgivememurder.com.
Right.
So let's do this because my God, is this a lot. This was the most work, the most notes I've ever had. This is all week. This took me. This is a lot. Lenny Dykstra, everybody.
Yes.
Part 2. It's not really a part 2 because we're going to encompass the first part also. Our first episode, we were trying, in the beginning, we didn't know if anybody cared, so we were trying to keep them to like an hour.
Right.
We figured we don't know how long we can hold these people's attention for, and they might want to turn it off. We didn't know. This was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Over 3 years ago, this episode happened.
Wow.
And since then, seems like the day after we put out the episode, he has gone on an insane ride of basically every week he's doing something else insane and getting arrested and doing this and doing nutty shit. His book came out with a bunch of crazy shit that he said. So there's so much to talk about. We're going to breeze through the baseball stuff pretty quickly because we did it on the first episode. And honestly, would you rather hear about him smoking crack and having crazy prostitute parties with Charlie Sheen, or about his 1987 slugging percentage? I don't know which one you'd rather hear about, but I'm going to assume
Charlie Sheen shit sounds
a little kind of interesting. That's what I'm saying. So we're going to kind of go more toward the salacious on this one because there's so I had to pick and choose. Like, well, the episode's going to be 5 hours long if we don't get some of this shit out here. Let's get started. Lenny Dykstra, Leonard Kyle Dykstra. It's not how he was born, though.
No.
He was born Leonard Kyle Leswick, actually.
That was his last name.
That was his last name. We didn't go over this last time because we were trying to do a quick episode here, but we'll get into this. He's born February 10th, 1963 in Santa Ana, California. His parents are Jerry and Marilyn Leswick. And there's no Dykstra in there, as you notice, and we'll get into why. He is the middle. There's 3 sons. He's the middle child. Okay. He has two brothers, Kevin and Brian are his brothers. His mother says of him, quote, "He was the cryingest baby I ever had."
Oh, Jesus.
He just came out that way, is what she said.
That's what they usually do, ma'am.
Yeah, well, yeah. Crying and never stopped, apparently. And he's this constant movement. If you didn't hear the first episode and you don't know who Lenny Dykstra is and this is all new, I don't know how you've missed him in the news lately because he's everywhere. Right. This guy does not stop being a complete fucking disaster. Like, we often play asshole or idiot. Is this guy an asshole or an idiot? He is both.
Yeah,
to the 10 of 10 on both.
Indeed.
I don't know how you would do that even. His bass and his treble are both all the way up. It's just blowing out speakers left and right. You can't do that.
His bass and treble.
It's way up there. He's a disaster.
He's just a lot of noise. That's what he is.
That's exactly what he is.
A lot of static noise.
It's super weird, man. 3 of his uncles played in the NHL. Okay. His father's brothers are Pete, Jack, and Tony Leswick. They all played in the NHL, and I think Pete is the one who had a really long, good career too. They all had a little career, but Pete, I think, was the one that was really the guy there. Now Jerry, his dad, left the family when Lenny was just a baby. So he leaves the family. And back then, a lot of times it was like similar to a Brady Bunch situation. If the father just left and didn't want shit to do with the kids and the mother remarried, they'd just pretend that the kids would take that guy's last name and they just pretend that everything was, we're just a family.
Yeah.
That's fine. And that's what they did then, basically. Marilyn meets a guy named Dennis Dykstra, who worked for at the time, both of them worked for the Pacific Telephone Company, the two, Marilyn and Dennis Dykstra. And Dennis was recently divorced as well, and he had 3 young daughters. And she has 3 young sons.
How about this?
And it's a literally
exact Brady Bunch
situation. And with it's funny too, because Lenny would be more like a Bobby, but he's a middle child, so it's odd. But they in Dykstra, all the boys take the Dykstra name, and they become Dykstras, and that's that. Okay. So
Dennis go by Denny.
Denny Dykstra. That would be a good name.
That's horrible.
Denny Dykstra.
Yep.
His mother says, Dennis says of him, who he always from this point on refers to as his father. Okay. There's never a stepfather. His father, like later on when he's like famous and people do articles about his family, they don't even mention.
Really?
This was hard to find.
It's all Dennis.
It's all Dennis. It's his father, Dennis Dykstra, blah, blah, blah. They talk about his parents worked at the telephone company and met there. Yeah. They act like it just never happened.
Wow.
Before that, I mean, I'm sure that nobody was hiding it, but
maybe Lenny acts like that too.
I think just in the newspapers, they didn't. It sounded nicer to just say they met at the phone company, and rather than this other backstory that you'd have to tell, because these were fluff pieces they were putting this in. Right. His father here, Dennis, says of him, quote, "He never sat still as a kid either." So if you've ever seen Lenny Dykstra, he does not stop moving and jittering and mumbling and fidgeting, and he's just he's got like 5 cell phones that he's on and a Bluetooth and 3 laptops, and money's tumbling out of his pockets, and he's got handcuffs dangling from one wrist. It's just a disaster. He's
slippery.
He's slippery. He's a slippery one. His father says of him, quote, "I used to threaten to nail his feet to the ground. He gets bored so easily. About the only thing he'll sit for is a movie, but it better be a good movie. If not, he'll get up and walk right out of the theater." So he's just very restless, which I can understand. Yeah. I'm the same way. With
also, that part about the movie. I can't walk out fast enough.
I can't do that. I have a hard time sitting still.
I hate a bad movie.
That's why, like, when we go on the road, when we do live shows, that's why I need to smoke weed, because to sit there for 2 hours, I just get up and wander off after a half hour. Like, I gotta go. I gotta move around a little bit. So that keeps me grounded. So he was also kind of a mischievous kid, which is not surprising.
That makes sense,
because he's always into some shit, as we know. His mother said, quote, "He was a really good kid. People probably can't believe that now." She said this in the mid-90s. This is before his major transgressions, but it's true. He was colorful, maybe a little mischievous, but he wasn't a bad boy. Colorful. Yeah. It's an interesting way to...
I like that phrasing.
Yeah, it's like saying he's a sly child.
Right.
He's very crafty.
Sometimes he's slick.
He's slick, and it was very, very ambiguous wording there. Colorful, maybe a little mischievous, not a bad boy. He was always very aggressive, very assertive, a leader. I know that he's gotten himself into a little trouble since then, and that everyone makes a big deal out of it. But that's not the way. But he's not the way people think. His mother says he was a good student. He always got straight A's. This is what his mother says, and his father goes, "Relax." Literally, he was like, "No, you got rosy memories here.
You love him, Ma. We get it.
It's fine." Come on. His father puts it a different way. He says, quote, "You've been around him. You've seen his ability to focus and concentrate and how he prepares himself for every game. Well, that's because Lenny is interested in baseball. He studies it. He devours everything he can about it. He's like a genius at it. But you can ask him who the president of the United States is, and he might not know." That's because he's not interested in politics. He never used to be interested in business either, but now he makes so much money, he started to think about that. This is obviously at a different time. Right. Now you have lunch with him, and there are bankers and accountants there, and Lenny's just thinking right along with them. Just to talk to him, you might think he's stupid, but when Lenny gets interested in something, he gets smart in a hurry.
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
When he's fascinated with something that can make him money or it can be a benefit to his life, he learns every fucking thing
he's
about
focused.
it.
So, baseball, that's all I'm going to care about. It's baseball, baseball, baseball. Right. I don't give a shit about anything else. And that's it. He's obsessive is what it is. So guys like that, or people like that in general, can go far in a certain field because you need to be obsessive about shit to do well. So, but he's just not a guy who has a lot of general base of knowledge, we'll put it. There's a great quote later on from one of his teammates about how he's good at baseball but kind of an idiot, and it's the greatest quote I've ever heard in my life. Good. So one of his stunts as a kid, or that he used to do all the time as a kid, was steal a fire extinguisher and spray people outside Disneyland from the passenger seat of a car.
That's a prank?
That's a prank. Nowadays that would get you put in Guantanamo fucking Bay.
I get you beat with that fire extinguisher.
Domestic terrorism now. You'd be in
get shot
federal prison. Yeah, that's what I mean. You'd be in deep shit, but they used to pull up, I guess, people walking out of Disneyland, and you used to be able to pull right up and spray them with a fire extinguisher.
Oh, what an asshole.
Which puts a terrible ending to your day.
It ruins everything.
Thanks. The kids
I'm all sweaty, and now I have fire extinguisher shit all over me?
Ruined the ears I just spent $18 on for my kid. This is miserable.
In the movies, they like to make that shit look like it's wet and sticky. That's not it. It's just a powder, gross. And it's fucking horrible.
It's disgusting,
You can't breathe.
Ruining all the expensive...
Fuck that guy.
Like, do you realize my kid's name is Demetrius? You know how many fucking letters that is? It's at $3 a pop, man.
His ears are now white, you dick.
You fucking asshole. Jesus.
You can't even read it.
That's awesome. Another time, he got busted sneaking into Angel Stadium, where the Angels play there in Anaheim, on Christmas Day and dicking around on the field. His mother talks about it, saying that he idolized Rod Carew and Nolan Ryan, who played for the Angels in the mid-'70s there. She says his father says he always had a poster of Nolan Ryan over his bed, and when he batted against him in the '86 playoffs, I tell you, I just about broke down and cried. So that's nice. He had to hit against his hero. But he loved Rod Carew. And when he was a kid, he wrote Rod Carew a letter saying that he was small and he gets picked on because he's small, but he wants to play baseball and all this. And I guess Rod Carew called him, got the letter and called him. So that's what a good guy Rod Carew is. Yeah. Gets a letter from a 12-year-old or something and calls him, which is fucking amazing. He says, as his mother says, quote, when he was about 12, he and the other kids hiked the 4 miles to the Big A, which is the stadium, and they snuck inside. It wasn't really a mischievous thing. Lenny was just so thrilled to be on the field where Rod Carew played. They were just sliding into bases and hitting balls off the wall, and all of a sudden there was a police helicopter above them telling them they were trespassing, and I guess they would have been arrested or something. Yeah, you can't just,
that's the way it goes.
Or something. Right. No, arrested. You got it on the first try. Good job.
Stop guessing. It's over. Game's done. Nailed it.
Cut it right off.
Number one answer.
Hey, number one with a bullet. Arrested.
All 100 said it.
That's it. But she said, quote, but Lenny was so fast he got away. So there, his skills helped him. He goes to Garden Grove High School in Garden Grove, California. Wasn't big into studying. Shockingly, not real big into it, but he did play football and baseball. During his freshman year in high school, he was the first and only freshman to play on the varsity baseball team.
Really?
Yeah, first and only for this team. And this school has like 2 other guys who played for like a day in the majors, and that's it. So Lenny's the only
He's the best one.
Yeah, so I don't know. So before the draft, this was before his senior year in 1981, the MLB draft was coming up, he goes to a Mets tryout camp. And a Mets employee asked if he was the bat boy. Because Lenny's like 5'10", 160 pounds.
Right.
Back then he's probably 150 pounds.
Right.
And he looks young. And when he first came up, he looked young. Yeah. I mean, he looked like somebody's little brother was out there playing. And so not later on when he's all muscled up, but when he first came out. So they asked him if he's the bat boy. And he said, quote, I'm Lenny Dykstra and I'm the best player you're going to see today. That's Lenny Dykstra.
That's ballsy.
Not, hey, fuck you. Yeah. It was, I'm the best motherfucker you're going to see out here, bitch. So he's got supreme confidence in himself. Like, I can't overstate the amount of confidence in himself.
And as many times as he's been humbled, it never thins.
Never. There's a quote from Billy Bean later on that we talked about in the first episode that sums it up perfectly, that he has no concept of failure.
That's a great point.
That's exactly the perfect way of putting it. None. He could be failing. He could have just failed as hard as possible, and he'd be like, well, I was fine, and now it's going to be better. Like, he just doesn't even think about that. Well, that one time 5 years ago I did well, so that's all I'm going to think about.
Don't worry about it.
It's crazy shit. So 1981 is the amateur draft. He is drafted here. First round, just go over a couple. Joe Carter gets drafted by the Cubs, a big-time Blue Jay there. Ron Darling, the Mets pitcher, who we'll talk about a lot later because he wrote a book saying some kind of nasty shit about Lenny, and Lenny's pissed about it. And that year also, a lot of guys, Mark Langston, Frank Viola, Mark Gubiza, Jesus, Sid Bream, John Elway drafted this year, obviously, by the Yankees. Tony Gwynn, Sid Fernandez, David Cohn, Paul O'Neill.
My God, the Expos got a whole bunch of great players.
The Royals, the Expos. The Royals, David Cohn actually was drafted by the Royals there. So tons and tons of guys. Oh, my God, Mike Pagliarulo.
No.
He's a third baseman. He was crappy for the Yankees in the mid-'80s, but I really liked him because he had a long Italian last name. Pagliarulo. Pagliarulo.
I feel you, bro.
I dug him. It's like, cool, man.
Tough life, ain't it?
Yeah, I was like, well, he could do it. He's got a ridiculous last name that starts with a P, and he's playing third base for the Yankees. He's only hitting .212, but he's doing it. It's fine. Mark McGuire was drafted by the Expos, but didn't sign.
Really?
That year, he went to play later on. He went to college and played on the U.S. Olympic team and all that. Fred McGriff, Roger Clemens, all these guys. Lenny Dykstra, finally, though, the 13th round. Vince Coleman was drafted there. 13th round, 315th overall. The New York Mets select Lenny Dykstra. Also, Jack Del Rio.
Really?
Coach was drafted that year. Didn't sign, but he was drafted also. Weird. Good athletes.
He figured it out later.
Later on.
He's doing fine now.
He's coaching just fine. So the Mets liked Lenny, but they waited until the 13th round because nobody else was interested in him. He's a little shit guy that nobody really cared about. So the Mets, their 12th round pick was Roger Clemens, who didn't sign that year because he ended up going to the University of Texas. But so they had an inkling there. They almost had, they drafted Clemens and Dykstra back to back. So it's pretty good scouting, I guess. Dykstra had committed to play baseball at Arizona State, actually. Is that right? At ASU, yeah, because back then they had a huge baseball lineage. Reggie Jackson went there. Barry Bonds went there later. So it's, just for Reggie Jackson alone, that's a big deal.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool, especially in the, early 80s like that.
In a place where not many people were going.
Yeah, that's exactly right. What I mean? So he said, to the Mets, look, I can go to college if I want. Yeah. I've been drafted low, so it doesn't matter to me. He said, I'll sign with you, but I'm not going to rookie ball. If you want me instead of, or I go to college, or you lose me, basically, you send me right to Class A and fuck this rookie ball bullshit. So the Mets eventually did that. Which is weird. They actually gave in to a kid who's 18 years old and sent him to Shelby of the Class A South Atlantic League in 81 and 82. He's there. We'll go over it quickly. In 81, he hits 261. In 82, he hits 291. He's got no power at this point, but he steals bases. He stole 77 bases in 120 games in 82.
That's great.
So that's really good. And he stole 18 the year before in just 48 games. So he's a speed guy at that point. He's a leadoff hitter. So 83, they send him up to Lynchburg, which is another single A. It's like the high A ball. Yeah. In Lynchburg there, he plays 136 games and hits 358.
Jesus.
He rips it the fuck up, man. And this is when he really starts getting his confidence about him. He was nasty. He had 8 home runs, 81 ribbies, 105 steals that year. If you're hitting 358, you got 105 steals, you're feeling pretty good about yourself.
Pretty incredible.
It is. So here's something we talked about in the first episode. His roommate for a while was Billy Beane, the current and for longtime general manager of the Oakland A's, and Brad Pitt in Moneyball, the movie Moneyball.
Exactly.
So he's this guy. So they were roommates with the Mets here, and Billy he said by looking at Lenny, he saw that himself he was never going to be a star because of what he saw in Lenny.
And he didn't have that.
He didn't have that. Yeah. He said, I don't have that undying confidence. Billy Beane would question himself and fuck with his stance and do shit. Lenny's just like, bring it, bitch. He doesn't care. They talk about a story about Lenny Dykstra. I think it was a spring training game or something, and Steve Carlton was pitching. And Steve Carlton was a legend by the early 80s. And if you don't know who he is, he's a nasty son of a bitch pitcher, a big, nasty Hall of Famer. And he's throwing, and Dykstra's watching him because they, watch the pitchers warm up to see what they got. And he said to Billy Beane, who's this guy? And he goes, it's Steve Carlton. What do you mean, who's this guy? Right. And he goes, he didn't know. Lenny just didn't react. And he goes, what's he throw? Like, he didn't even have any inkling of Steve Carlton. And he goes, what's he throw? He goes, he throws heat that's nasty. Right. He's got the best slider maybe in the history of baseball. Nasty shit is what he throws. He's nasty. He says Lenny watches him throw 2 more pitches, makes a face and shrugs and says, I'll stick him. And he walks away. Just whatever. Fuck that guy.
I got this.
Yeah, I'll hit him. Like, there's no intimidation at all. Nothing.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him. Don't know him. I've heard of Lenny Dykstra, though, and I think I'm better.
I'm the best guy here today.
Yeah, that's how it goes. He said that Lenny had total confidence. Billy says, quote, he didn't let his mind screw him up. Lenny was so perfectly designed mentally to play the game of baseball. He was able to instantly forget any failure and draw strength from every success. He had no concept of failure.
Incredible.
Which is exactly what you need because baseball's such a long season.
Right.
Like, he would have been a great closing pitcher.
Yeah.
Because you have to forget yesterday and just be confident and blindly. So this is why he's such a delusional bastard. Right. It worked so well for him professionally.
Right.
But in life, you have to have a concept of failure.
You have to understand. You have to be able to learn from mistakes.
Exact. That's the problem.
Right.
So Billy, at the time when they were roommates, Billy had gotten accepted to Stanford before he signed with the Mets. So Billy's a super smart guy, and he liked to read, and he was interested in politics and the world, basically. So he would be reading, and he said Lenny walked in one time and saw him reading and freaked out. And he says, quote, dude, you shouldn't be doing that, or you're going to ruin your eyes. You shouldn't be doing that. Like,
you're really going to hurt yourself.
Yeah, like he was smoking crack. Yeah. Like, dude, you shouldn't be jamming that needle in your cock, bro.
Shouldn't put that needle in the whites of your eye.
Man, fuck, man. Can't do that. Right. That's basically what he said. Mitch Williams, who is the future baseball closer, said of him as a teammate about Lenny Dykstra. This is the great quote here. Quote, "I wouldn't call the dude over to help me put together a jigsaw puzzle, but the guy was born to play baseball. Okay. He's a dumb shit, but boy, you get him out there and he is focused."
He's a dummy, but he can put a bat on a ball.
Exactly. Right. So in 84, he plays in Jackson, which is AA, 131 games, 270, or he hits 275. Jesus Christ, said that totally wrong. 53 steals that year. So he's doing well. 1985, he plays the first month in the minors in Tidewater in AAA, and he hits 310. He's doing great. Mm-hmm. So the Mets call him up on May 3rd, 1985, makes his major league debut. It is against Cincinnati. He has a 5 at-bat game, 2 hits, a home run, 2 RBIs, and a steal. Yeah. So he comes out, and I'm Lenny Dykstra, motherfucker. Like, that's making a statement in your first game. I've got power. I'll steal bases. I got it all. So not too bad. This Met team is Gary Carter, Keith Hernandez, Wally Backman, Howard Johnson, Rafael Santana, George Foster. No. You know George Foster?
No.
Oh, God, he was on the Big Red Machines 70s. No, he's the scariest looking man ever.
Maybe I have.
You would see him and you just immediately call him sir. Put it that way. He's the angriest looking black man in the history of the world.
Really?
But his face, you just go, "Hello, sir." Just please don't hit me. He just looks so fucking stern. He's a big guy too, and he just looks stern. George Foster. And he had these big mutton chop sideburns with this mean face. Oh, it was great. He's a fucking and he hit home runs like a bastard. Oh, he's an awesome guy. Lenny says about George Foster later on in his book here. This is great. Quote, "Foster was a strange guy. Talk about human Xanax. I am falling asleep just thinking about him. Talking to George Foster was like attempting to hold a conversation with a piece of furniture." When Davey Johnson announced that Kevin Mitchell was going to be our new left fielder, Foster charged that the Mets were being racist. The only problem was Kevin Mitchell's also black, which is
it's a good point.
Pretty, he's real black too.
Super
Kevin Mitchell,
black,
he's like extra black. So I don't know what the complaint is there, but George Foster was an awesome fucking guy.
That's funny because you're saying that he was such a scary man, but clearly Lenny has zero fear of the man. To say he's human Xanax.
Apparently his mean scowl is just
it's all a facade.
Very relaxing. It's just he's not angry. He's just super relaxed. And he never changed his facial expression. I didn't realize that. Also, Darryl Strawberry's on this team. Billy Beane, Doc Gooden, Sid Fernandez, Ray Knight, Ron Darling, Mookie Wilson. It's a stacked team here.
Fun team.
85, he plays in 83 games, hits 254 with 15 steals, does his thing basically. Has a nice little rookie season. The team is 98-64 that year, second in the East. So back then there's no wild card, so they don't go to the playoffs. But 86 is the magical year. We'll kind of spend a second on that, and then we'll kind of breeze through the rest here. 1986, the Mets finished 108-54. They had a great team. They're crushing everybody, obviously first in their division. Lenny plays in 147 games. He hits 295, 8 homers, 45 ribbies, 31 steals. Great year for Lenny. And he's a spark plug. He plays in center field, and he plays with complete reckless abandon. One thing you could never say about Lenny is he's not putting in an effort. He would dive into the wall head first. Multiple times collides with teammates to where they're both unconscious, because he just doesn't get called off a ball. He's crazy. He's a nutcase. He's going to run into anything if the ball's going in that direction. If you want to get Lenny out of the game, hit a ball toward the wall. And he'll probably concuss himself, and that'll be that.
Try to run through it.
That's what he does. He's a nutcase, honestly. Lenny that year, though, he has a good year, obviously, and the team has a great year. They go to the NLCS. They play the Astros. They beat the Astros 4-2. I watched it as a kid. Great series. He got to hit against Nolan Ryan. Then they go to the World Series and they play the Red Sox, and that's the famous Bill Buckner deal here. Bill Buckner just died recently, which is a damn shame. He's a great fucking player. Now, it's during this World Series that the Ron Darling accusation comes from. It was Game 3, and apparently they were looking, they needed a spark, and Lenny's leading off, and I guess Oil Can Boyd was the pitcher, who will get his own episode someday, by the way, as you'll find out why. He was the pitcher at the time, and he was warming up, and Oil Can, you remember Oil Can Boyd? Great pitcher, tiny little skinny guy. Looks like I don't even oil can. His hat was too big for him, and it was like kind of cockeyed on his head. It was weird, but he's a great pitcher and a lot of fun also, and a crackhead, as we'll find out as well.
No,
so he kind of looks like a crackhead. Actually, Hilarious. That's what he looks like. He's Otis Nixon-esque. If Otis Nixon started pitching, I would say that's what not in the face, but just like the body type.
God, Jesus, that's terrible.
Yeah, you don't want to be compared physically in any way to Otis Nixon.
Ever.
That is awful. But apparently, Lenny was in the on deck circle, and he's warming up, watching Oil Can warm up, and Ron Darling accuses Lenny of saying some seriously nasty shit to him, racial shit. I guess saying everything he could think of is what Ron Darling says, brutal, nasty, racial shit. Now, Lenny completely denies this, and Oil Can said he didn't hear it. Okay. So we don't know if this is true or not, or if this is just Ron Darling trying to stir up shit. Yeah. But Ron Darling has a job. That's the kind of how I look at, like, if someone is just stirring up shit or not.
Who benefits hardest from this, or who doesn't?
Well, I mean, a guy, Ron Darling has had a job since he retired from baseball. He's a well-spoken, handsome dude who went to Yale. Right. He's got a job on the networks all the time doing baseball commentary, and so he does just fine for himself. He's not desperate to write a book. Mm-hmm. He probably made less off his book than he makes yearly anyway.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
So it's not, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't need to... I don't know. So I don't know what's true, but I tend to believe Ron Darling more than Lenny Dykstra because he's crazy, like, categorically. So, he says he is saying all this nasty racial shit, and Lenny Dykstra, apparently, Ron Darling's story was that threw Oil Can Boyd off, and Lenny somehow emboldened Lenny Dykstra, and Lenny Dykstra ended up leading off the game with a home run, and the Mets won 7-1.
How about that?
So, yeah, I thought it was a double down the line, but it says here it's a home run, so I guess it's a home run. So we don't know. Now, Oil Can says he has no fucking idea. That's now, they ask him about it. Did this distract you? And he goes, I never knew it happened. He said that he had a bunch of family drama going on at the time. Yeah. This was a World Series game, and his father had brought his stepmother there, even though Oil Can didn't get along with her, and told him specifically, don't bring her to the game, and now it's game 3 of the World Series, and he's got to deal with family drama.
Oil Can's not blaming him, he's blaming her.
Yeah, so Oil Can also...
He could have said whatever the fuck he wanted. My stepmom was in the fucking audience.
It's not just that.
No?
He said, that would have been enough to throw me off my game, but he says, Oil Can says, quote, plus I had stayed up all night smoking cocaine. So I was double upset and irritated. He said, I couldn't concentrate enough to warm up in the bullpen. That's how upset it.
Wow.
So when your stepmom's there and you've been up all night smoking cocaine, you could be irritable, which I get it.
Was it the N-word being shouted at me? No.
I don't know.
I was so rocked up on crack, and my stepmom's sitting right there. So, Christ only knows what set me off.
Ask her. She'd probably know. I bet she'd heard it, but, I have no fucking idea, man. So,
oh, fuck.
He says, quote, I'm warming up for a ball game, and I'm preparing to go out and try to get the New York Mets out one at a time, and that's all that's on my mind. To see any kind of gestures made toward me coming from the opposing dugout, I didn't see anything like that, nor was I looking for anything like that. This is all news to me. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't fucking know. How much, you smoke so much crack, how much, come on. You're not going to hear it.
Hazy.
It gets hazy, the memory of the time. Yeah. I'd imagine being out there pissed off at your dad, and you've got crack, just the remnants of the night's cocaine supply running through your system. That's got to feel terrible. Guys are hitting off you. Jesus Christ here.
Oh, my word.
So Lenny, though, had a great series. He played in all 7 games. He hit .296 with 2 home runs and 3 RBIs and 4 runs scored. So he had a great goddamn game. The Mets, in case you don't know, won the series 4-3. I don't think we need to go over that. It happened. Lenny made $92,500 that year.
That's not a lot.
So, in 1986,
it is a lot,
it's not bad. Yeah. Prorated. So his teammate of his later on, Terry Mulholland, who does weird yoga shit and has some...
Really?
Rod had this book that Terry Mulholland gave him of, like, not quite yoga, but these weird stretches that he says Terry Mulholland, that's all he does. And he pitched till he was like 47.
Oh.
So Rod was like, I'm going to try this shit. He's still pitching, for Christ's sake, and he's 100.
Worth it.
Yeah. So he says about Dykstra, quote, the dude would be an experience even if it had nothing to do with baseball. You could meet the dude away from the field and come away dazed and confused as to what just happened. It's just Lenny.
Yeah.
And everybody calls him either Nails or the Dude.
Yeah.
Those are his 2
you
nicknames.
Got the Dude?
And this is well before. This is in the 80s that people called him the dude.
Big Lebowski.
It's because he calls everybody dude.
Oh, okay.
That's why.
He's the dude.
Everybody that's kind of how a lot of nicknames come from, is that you call somebody that.
That's a super common thing to say in the 80s, too.
Dude, yeah. But
especially in California.
Every sentence starts with dude from Lenny Dykstra. It's over the top. It's a lot. That's how you get the name. People have, again, with Rod, Shooter is his nickname. He got that from a catcher in the minors. Some catcher, he said, is like a lifetime minor leaguer, called everybody Shooter, because he's a lifetime minor leaguer, so he comes across, people come and go constantly, so rather than remember people's names, he just calls everybody Shooter. And Rod hung out with him and just picked it up. He picked up calling people Shooter. Hey, what's happening, Shooter? Like, he just did it in the minors, just as like a not even thinking, so then people started calling him Shooter, and it stuck. Yeah. That's how it stuck. I've heard a million theories. That's the fucking reason why. He told me that at 2 a.m. So I'm assuming it's true. So anyway, 1987 Mets finished 92-70. Lenny hits 285 this year. 10 homers, 43 ribbies, 27 steals. Very consistent with the year before. Makes $202,500.
Oh boy, that's a raise.
It's good money in the 80s, man. That's great. It's great money now. Yeah, that's fucking beautiful. So then, like I said, the Mets finished second in the East, so they do not go to the playoffs here. 1988 Mets finish 160. So good game, good job there. I guess they probably had 2 rainouts that didn't matter. This is they finished first in the NL East, so they go to the playoffs. They lose in the NLCS to the Dodgers, who then go on, and that's the Kirk Gibson home run and all that shit with him, the Kirk Gibson home run.
A good one.
Even if you don't know sports, you remember a guy, an older looking man limping around the bases while pumping his fists. It's that game. Guy looks like, is that guy a baseball player? Is this a Make-A-Wish? Is he going to die tomorrow? That's what it looked like.
Did that old man really just do that?
I think someone came in, hit it, and went, run, Kirk, run. It's all yours. So very impressive there. But Lenny, 88, has a great year again. He hits 270 this year, 33 ribbies, 8 homers. He's very consistent. 30 stolen bases, makes $305,000 this year. So not too shabby. I just had to put this quote in. This is the year 88's when Greg Jeffries came in. You remember Greg Jeffries? He played for like 20 different teams. He played for everybody. He played catcher when he first came up. He played short, third, first, outfield.
I hate when there's these vague players, because I think I know, and I see somebody, and then you go, no.
I remember his rookie card being a big deal, and then he was garbage, and it went down in price, and nobody cared. Greg Jeffries, Lenny says of him, quote, "It didn't take the players long to figure out that Greg Jeffries was a losing player, not to mention a whiny little bitch." He would spend hours rubbing his bats with some special concoction and specifically requested that they be stored separately from the rest of the team's bats so they didn't chip.
Okay.
So, and not to mention a whiny little bitch.
Yeah.
This is why Lenny's interesting and people still listen to him, because he says funny shit like that. So 89 Mets here, they start out, the Mets actually end up trading him June 18th, 1989. He wants to be, because they were kind of platooning him a little bit the last couple of years. He played in 126 games in 88, 132 games in 87. They kind of platoon him a little bit in the outfield, and he said, I want to be an everyday player. He starts breaking balls, so the Mets went, okay, well, how about Philly then? Have a fucking good one. So him and Roger McDowell, who is the second spitter in the Seinfeld episode there, are traded to the Phillies for Juan Samuel, who looks like an international cocaine kingpin. He was this guy had this mustache on him.
Hell yeah.
He look up Juan Samuel and you'll just go, yeah, that's exactly. He looks like he would be right next to Pablo Escobar.
Are you saying Samuel like Samuel or Samuel, W-E-L-L?
It's like Samuel, but it's pronounced Samuel because he's Juan. Yeah, S-A-M-U-E-L. Okay. Yeah. So they trade to the Mets, or he's to the Mets, and the McDowell and Lenny Dykstra go to the Phillies in 89. So that year, total, he ends up hitting 318. Yeah. So it didn't bother him at all. 7 homers, 30 steals, very consistent, his normal numbers here. And, the next year, this year he was supposed to make, the Mets originally offered him $455,000 and he went to arbitration with them because he was a restricted free agent and he ended up winning arbitration and getting $575,000.
Good for you.
Which, if you don't know about arbitration, it's the craziest process in the world.
Yeah, it's union shit.
Well, but it's between a team and a player. So basically, you have to come up with all the reasons why the team has fucked you over, and they have to come up with all the reasons why, and you have to come up with reasons why you're worth a shitload of money, and they have to come up with reasons why you're worthless and why you're a piece of garbage. And then you both have to go into a room together and they have to say he's a piece of garbage and he's a shitty player and this is why, and then everybody, once it's agreed upon, everybody has to go okay and go back and be friends again. That's really fucking hard to do. That's literally why they try to avoid arbitration. It's because nobody wants that. It's very contentious,
it's tedious, and it feels shitty.
Yeah, I heard a lot about it and I'm like, that is horrible. They'll just say everything that's ever been wrong with you, just you're awful.
It's the same with union stuff in any job that you go to. If your union has to represent you in an arbitration hearing, it's fucked up.
They're not singling out a single person though and saying how awful they are.
Oh, they are.
Aren't they singling out the whole everybody?
No. They're
saying Bob sucks.
If you have to
he's
go
a shit
against
worker.
them, if you have to go against your company in an arbitration thing, then that's what they will do.
Oh, I thought you meant like a union as a whole. Okay.
No. The union, if the union has to hire or bring an arbitrator in to fix an issue between you and your company will say horrible
between
things
the one person.
right
I thought
to
you
your
meant right
face.
from the whole union. Yeah. This is here, but then they expect you to go out and be confident and pitch well and shit, which it's crazy. So the Phillies finished 67 and 95. They sucked that year. Before the 1990 season, the team told him that he had the upcoming season to prove that he's the guy for them, the everyday center fielder and, the guy for the future. He says, quote, "What I did next was call up a doctor. Picked him out of the Jackson, Mississippi Yellow Pages, in fact. I walked into his office and told him the straight story. He said, quote, my life is on the line. My life," and this is all ellipses between every word, "is on the line. This year is going to determine whether I'm going to be a millionaire or whether I'll have to get a real job. I need you to give me something that's going to keep me durable and allow me to maintain my strength for 6 months. I need your help. I have a family to take care of, and I'm going to be one of 26 people in the whole world to start on a Major League Baseball team playing center field." That's what he says.
Okay.
Jack me the fuck up with some roids, basically. I need to be bigger and stronger. So he does, and Lenny comes back looking like fucking He-Man the next year.
Yeah, I remember that.
Which is so weird.
Yeah. It's very strange to see a short man being that yoked.
It was, well, especially when he wasn't before. Right. It's just like, it's just not how some people's just body types are that. And like, man, he's a stocky little dude. He's not a stocky little dude at all. So 1990 Phillies, this is the team. They have Darren Daulton, who is crazier than a shithouse rat. God, is he fucking crazy. Have you read his Alien shit?
No.
Dude, look up Darren Daulton Aliens.
I know that he went nuts after baseball.
Darren Daulton Aliens. That's all I have to say. And look at it.
God damn it, Darren.
Wow. It happened. He said it in about 2007, and I showed it to Rod at the time while he was alive. And I go, you know Darren Daulton, right? He goes, yeah, I love Darren Daulton. Dutch is great. I go, what is this? And he read it, and he goes, whoa, Dutch lost his fucking mind. What the fuck, man? He goes, what the fuck is he talking about? It was about aliens and all this really weird shit. So anyway.
Sounds right.
Yeah, Sean Kruk on this team.
Yes.
Charlie Hayes, which I love Charlie Hayes. He caught the last out of the 96 World Series, so I'll love him forever. Von Hayes. All the Hayeses are there. You tell him,
Isaac there, too?
You telling me Von Hayes comes in here, you're sold out. That's what you're telling me right now. Von Hayes can't get one of these. Terry Mulholland, that I mentioned before, and Mitch Williams. Also, this year, Lenny is an all-star. Yeah. He's an all-star with the Phillies. He leads the league in on-base percentage with a .418 on-base percentage. Hits .325, which is great. 33 steals, 9 homers, 60 ribbies. He's the guy. That's the guy they wanted. He's 9th in MVP voting that year. So that'll tell you right there. He's in the top 10, and he makes $700,000 that year. Yes. Fuck yeah. Grace. Yeah? Yeah, we're going to call this Grace. This is, it gets weird. He has some ups from here, but this is when the downs start to occur. The 91 Phillies are 78 and 84 for third in the East. But more interestingly, in May of that year, he had a little incident, Lenny does here. Little incident. He's out one night. They're going to John Kruk's bachelor party. Yeah. And they go to John Kruk's bachelor party, and then he decides to drive Darren Dalton home in his $93,000 500 SL Mercedes. Wow. And he's a little bit tipsy and wraps the fucker around a tree.
May as well.
Yeah, apparently. And the fuck, he gets a DUI. He suffered a broken right collarbone, 3 broken ribs, and a broken cheekbone, and punctured his lung.
Oh, God, he's hauling ass.
In the middle of a baseball season.
God damn it.
So, he was going fast and he was drunk. He says about it, quote, "I screwed up big time. I'm human. I wish I could change what happened, but I can't. What happened was because of poor judgment on my part. I'm sorry for what the fans and kids had to find out. I not only hurt myself, I hurt the team."
Okay.
So he's got a healthy press agent response to that. Yeah. He had a PR guy going, "This is what you fucking say." Right. There is an article in the newspaper that it's almost a fluff piece about a DUI.
The article, the actual reporting of the DUI.
The reporting of it is about how dangerous that curve in the road is. Not how dangerous it is to drive drunk around that curve.
I've been saying for years, somebody's going to get drunk and drive right off that cliff.
Well, this is the headline in big bold letters is, quote, "Dykstra latest victim of dangerous curve." No, I wouldn't put it like that. You don't put the word victim in there at all. Dykstra latest victim, almost like, wow, that poor guy. He could have been straight as an arrow. He still would have. It's the curve's fault. You can't take that curve. You just fly right off the road. Gravity, physics won't allow you to go around that curve. We should really put a sign up, I think.
Incredible.
So how it ends up happening is amazing. This is apparently the 8th time in the past 2 years that somebody has wrecked their car in the spot. There's this one woman, this guy Glenn Bonar, who...
Yeah.
His Bonar.
Yep.
His house is right there. So every the boner residence. Yeah. So every once in a while a car flies off the road and into the Boner residence's oak tree. So he says this time he awakened from his sleep and hurried down there, and he found a trashed Mercedes
wrapped around the shaft of his oak.
Wrapped around his shaft, and he's like, "Damn it, I need the jaws of life to I need to get my hand in there and just tug on it till I can get these people out. I need to just stroke them from the car." Hopefully they're not leaking fluids at all, because that would be terrible. Hold your fluids, everybody. Hold your fluids till I can stroke you out of the car enough, and then you can just let them flow all at once.
I need to ejaculate you out of the vehicle.
I need to. You know how it is. So, you know how it works.
Lord.
Sorry, we're only human. We can't help that.
How could he hit a tree in the Boner residence? How could he do that?
It's amazing. Well, this isn't where the car was. Okay. He hit a tree later, but he said this Boner runs out in the street, finds the Mercedes facing the wrong way on the road. That's a bad sign right away. Two of the men, there's 2 men there. He said one of them was lying in the middle of the road with his face covered in blooded dirt. And he says two young women who'd been driving behind the Mercedes, apparently, also saw that, and he said, so he looked in and he saw, quote, "a bunch of crumpled $100 bills scattered on the floor and back seat like discarded candy wrappers." So he's just got, I don't know if you
just have that in the back seat of your car and it not fly out.
Will you grab the wheel? I'm going to hold my crumpled up $100 bills in both hands. I'm going to make a bowl and just kind of feel the weight of it. Thanks. Oh shit, dangerous curve. And they all go everywhere. I don't know how that fucking happened here, but
is he wiping his nose like Dumb and Dumber and just throwing him in the back seat?
Apparently, I don't need this shit. Yeah. So yeah, they charge him with driving under the influence of alcohol. The Boners didn't know who they were, Darren Dalton and Lenny Dykstra.
Really?
No idea. The wife said, quote, "But I'll tell you, even if you knew who they were, you probably wouldn't have recognized them because their faces were covered in blood." Yeah. So yeah, they were. They said that they were. They said there was a reconstruction of something there, and they said that they were probably about 4 feet from dying. They initially hit a tree with the left side. They said if they hit the tree with either of the doors, one or both of them would have been dead because they were flying. Yeah, they got lucky, and we told you about his injuries. Dalton had a scratched left cornea and a fractured eye socket, which is rough. Punctured lungs, fractured eye sockets. Your catcher and your center fielder.
Perfect.
Fucked.
Yeah.
Great, thanks. So this was a big deal. I guess there was a lot of, they talked about, they would talk about how dangerous this road is. We need to change this. Not baseball players need to stop getting drunk and driving.
Of the 8 cars that crashed there, how many were drunk? Probably 7, you think?
That's what I mean. They were coming from John Kruk's bachelor party, which was at Smokey Joe's, a sports bar, which was about 2 miles from the accident. They was there for about 3 or 4 hours. They left at about 12:55. So the owner of the bar, of Smokey Joe's, Pat Ryan, he has a different take. He said, now, Lenny's blood alcohol was 0.179. So,
whoa.
Shit-faced,
Holy
basically.
Shit.
Yeah, well,
half dead.
Double the legal limit, which is, I guess, half dead.
That's a good point.
Yeah, he's pretty fucking good. He didn't have 3 beers. He had like 6, 8 beers. He had a lot.
Yeah.
So he says, Pat Ryan says, quote, Lenny looked fine. I've seen people a lot worse. He wasn't falling down drunk. I mean, he was leaning on the other guy, but they didn't... He wasn't falling down drunk.
He couldn't feel the rib injuries and shit.
This is pre-lawsuits, I assume, and you getting in trouble. Right. He's like, I don't know. He was sort of drunk, but I threw him his car keys, said, you're fine. You're fine to drive.
Right.
So what did the Phillies have to say about this? Well, their team president, whose hair is looking as silver as can be after this statement, this is a silver-haired, middle-aged white man statement here. He says about this that, because they're talking about they can withhold parts of Dalton and Dykstra's salary if they can prove their actions violated the morals clause in their contract. Now, the president of the team says, quote, it seems to me they have suffered a great deal already. Yeah. He says, in some clubs, they do things differently than on other clubs. We normally are pretty good to people here. I think he's gone through enough pain, physical, emotional, and financial, and I can't see why we should increase that. The problems are a lot to deal with without knowing we could cause more. So... he's good. He's good. He's fine. We're okay with it.
All right.
He's going to be fine. So 91, he only plays in 63 games because of his injuries here. He hits .297 and everything, but he only barely plays. He makes $2,216,666 though.
Whoa.
So new contract. Yeah. That's the roids paid off. That's what he was saying. I can either be a millionaire or not. And then,
well, that's what it was then too.
That's what it was. And, what were we going to do?
That's how you make money.
And if the guy trying to take your job is taking him, and he's going to take your job, right. Well, what are you going to morally not do it so you can be...
I'm going to do whatever he does and do it harder and better.
Well, I don't understand. Yeah, you have like this baseball morals, but if you work in a warehouse somewhere, what the fuck do your baseball morals matter? You don't even play baseball anymore. So, you know what I mean? To stay a baseball player, it doesn't matter. If everyone else is trying to... You're competing. Yeah. And as a fan, I just don't care. Yeah. I mean, I don't want you to destroy your liver and wreck your health or whatever, but other than that, I don't have any like moral like that he used
bastard
performance enhancing drugs, and I'm like,
dare he lie to me about his ability?
I don't care. He's trying as hard as he can is what that says to me. He's trying so hard, he's jacking himself with fucking weird chemicals and then working out a whole bunch and eating a shitload of potatoes and chicken breasts all the time.
He wants to show me the best baseball I can watch. It's good.
More than I'm willing to do for baseball, so that's why you're doing this and I'm doing this.
Right.
It's the difference. So 1992, the Phillies are 70-92. Not a great team again. Lenny hits .301 though. He's doing fine. 6 homers, 39 ribbies, 30 steals. Yeah. It's his basic line every year. He does have a broken bone in his finger in August that ends the season for him. He only played in 85 games, but he did make $2,316,667 this year. Not too shabby. 1993 is the Phillies' big year. They finished 97-65 and go all the way to the World Series that year. They beat the Braves in the NLCS, one of the many Braves failures of the 90s, and then they lose in a very famous fashion to the Blue Jays with the Mitch Williams. Right. That famous shot of a victorious Joe Carter and Mitch Williams with his head hanging down walking off the field. That's that. One of his coaches here talks about Lenny during this period. He says about Lenny, quote, he was a red light player, but he was a horrible 10-2 player. What I mean is he hated to play in a 10-2 game. Whether we were ahead or behind, he'd lose focus. He only wanted to play with the game on the line all the time, which is understandable. Like, not to just keep bringing him up, but that was Rod told me that too. He hated to come in a game as a closer with a 3-run lead. He was like, well, that's fucking... He said he didn't get
There's
into
no rush in that. Right.
Exactly. He goes, unless there's two guys on base, you can't even feel it at that point. It's like, who cares? It's just boring. He goes, but if it's two guys on and you're up by one, now you're talking. Now there's something to get up for.
Yeah.
Which that's the type of guy that, that's what you got here. So 93, though, Lenny had a great year, career year. He hits 305, 19 homers this year, which is by far the most he's ever hit. 6 triples even, 66 ribbies, 37 steals. Leads the National League in hits with 194. Leads the National League in runs with 143. Leads the league in at-bats even. He's killing it. He says about his 93 season, quote, I basically went from a star to a superstar. I basically proved I'm more than the best leadoff hitter in the game. It's nice to have that recognition, but I'm more than a leadoff hitter. I've proved I'm the impact player I've always considered myself to be, a situation hitter capable of getting the home run, double, walk, whatever the situation requires. I've worked hard and made myself into one of the top 5 players in the game.
Oh.
Do they pay leadoff hitters what they're paying me? So that's what he's saying here. I don't know about top 5 in the game.
That's a bold statement.
That year, though, we'll talk about it. He might have been able to say it that year. Now, Dennis, they talked to his dad, don't quote dad here, Dennis, and Dennis, about has he changed or anything? And Dennis says, quote, I coached him all those years, but I don't really feel like Lenny owes me anything. Yeah. I've just gotten paid back in spades just watching him play over the years. In some ways, I guess all the money he makes and all the scrutiny he's under has to have changed him a little, but it's really hard it's hard being who he is. We still talk now and then, but when you try to call him, he's always got 3 or 4 other people on hold, someone else there with him. He's always so busy. He flew me in for the playoffs in the World Series last year, and we all had a wonderful time, but I understand how busy he is. I always tell him, someday, son, when your career is over, call me. Maybe we'll get lunch. Maybe we'll have lunch together. So basically, he's just out too busy. For the family, which he's got a lot going on. Yeah. He wins the Silver Slugger this year, and he is second in MVP voting.
Number 2.
So that's what I mean. If you're number 2 in MVP voting, you can go, I'm one of the top 5 players in the game.
There you go.
Barry Bonds won the MVP that year.
There's nothing you're going to do about
nothing.
that.
No.
That's the guy that takes all the steroids.
Not then,
He's
though.
He's barely leaving any for you.
Not then, though. No. Yeah. No, well, by 2000, he had them all probably in his house in one room. But no one even claims that Bonds took steroids till 99.
Really?
Yeah, because he got mad that Griffey or that McGuire and Sosa got all that pub in 98, and he says, how the fuck do I do that? Roids. Even though, look at his numbers here. This is 93. So anyone who says Barry Bonds shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, kiss my ass. Yeah. Pre-roids, 336, 46 homers, 123 RBI. Okay. Fucking amazing. But he wanted to hit 55 homers and
he wants to make it really obvious.
I want my head to be 4 sizes bigger and hit a few more
homers.
I don't
want to blend in. I want to make it
Come on.
I want to cause an investigation.
I need a federal investigation. Congress needs to be involved in this.
He was earning money and doing great. That's how greedy he was. That he's like, fuck it, I'm going to be a free.
He wanted to be better than them. That was the thing. He wanted to be better than Griffey and better than that. And if he wasn't, then that's how you have to be, I guess, to be a top tier guy. You can't just be like, I'm pretty good, I'm good enough. That's just not the way it works. You're not a Hall of Famer.
Right.
Lenny's number 2 that year in MVP voting. David Justice, number 3. Fred McGriff, number 4. And Ron Gant, number 5. Remember him? Ron Gant.
Braves. I love that guy.
Not bad. Lenny makes $3,066,667 that year.
Shit.
God damn. 94, team is 54-61. That's the strike shortened year. So it doesn't really matter. Lenny's NL Player of the Month in May. He's an all-star that year for whatever that's worth. It doesn't really matter. He hits 273. He makes $2,650,000 because it's prorated from the shortened season. 1995, the Phillies are 69-75, which somehow is second in the division. I don't know how the fuck that is, but it doesn't matter. Lenny hits 264 this year, but he only has 2 homers, 18 ribbies, and somehow he's an all-star because this was when it was only fan ballots.
Okay.
So he was so good last year and the year before that they just pencil him in center field. Okay. Basically, you just poked his button out, and that was that. He makes $6,200,000 this year.
Oh my God, he's making so much money.
That's the score, man. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Holy shit. 1996 team is terrible again, 67-95. Lenny this year, though, hits .261 and is injured. He leaves a game in May in the 5th inning with a nerve, some damage in his back, spinal injury, and he never appears in another major league game again. Just kind of leaves. It's spinal stenosis, a narrowing of the spinal canal.
Yeah, that's bad stuff.
And that was that. He tried to come back in 98 for spring training, but nothing happened.
Wow.
And that's
spinal
Lenny's
stenosis ruined his career?
It was over after that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Did we learn that before in the other episode?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I didn't listen to the episode on purpose just so I wouldn't try to not.
That sounds terrible.
I didn't want to repeat jokes whatever.
Good point.
So I should have listened to not repeat jokes. We definitely didn't talk about the boners last time. So yeah, his career numbers, .285 lifetime hitter, not too shabby for a leadoff guy, not bad at all. 285 stolen bases, 43 homers, or 81 homers, 404 ribbies. So a good career for Lenny, not bad at all. He makes $6,200,000 this year, not too shabby. That gets better, Jimmy.
Wow.
97, he doesn't even play, and he makes $6 million. And 98, he doesn't even play, but he makes $6 million.
Unbelievable.
So he made another $12 million to not do anything.
Nothing.
To not do anything. Yeah, just
incredible.
To be injured. So he had a now guaranteed contract. So November 1998, I guess that's the season's over. You just, it's so funny. It's like he just got his last paycheck, basically. So he says, now I got to do something. So he opens up car washes. This is the car wash thing here.
Typical athlete thing.
Exactly. Right. He opened up a luxury car wash in Corona that he dubbed the Taj Mahal of car washes. And he ends up expanding it to a shitload of other car washes and ends up doing well at this, actually. Really? And in 2007, he sells it.
Did you say he cleaned up?
He cleaned up. He should have brought the boners in there to help. They're very good at stroking the hoods of cars in circular fashion.
Lots of suds.
So he made a boatload in 2007 when he sold it. So that's where he got kind of all of his money to invest after that. So, he's not doing bad. So he opens that up 1999. In October of 1999, November of 1999, he's got some problems now. And that is that he is arrested in Simi Valley on misdemeanor charges of sexual battery and child annoyance involving a 17-year-old girl.
Okay, all right. I was like, it's illegal to annoy a child?
Hey, kid. Hey, look at you. You flick his ear. Hey, throw shit at him, spitballs and shit.
Just throw a shoulder into
child
him while they're walking,
kick
the back of their foot.
I was going to say flat tire. Give him a flat tire as they're going. Yeah, take that.
Get him a good trip. Like try to push that right leg over their left leg.
What do you like that? Yeah. Tie their shoelaces together when they're sitting there. Charged with child annoyance.
Give him a wedgie.
So mad. His spokesman here said the allegation is false, totally untrue. The Ventura County Sheriff's Department there has a different idea of things. He's booked and released on $5,000 bail. He is accused of improperly touching the teenager, is what the police department say. Basically, it occurred on October 1st, right when he was opening his car washes. It was inside the office of the car wash. They didn't exactly say what happened here, but they say that the victim is a 17-year-old girl who was employed by Mr. Dykstra at the time. She called the police to report the incident, and the investigators put a case together, and they end up arresting him. He turns himself in after he learned there's a warrant for him, so he didn't just run away. He says, or his lawyer says, quote, the allegation that that he touched this young woman outside of her clothing, though the allegation made against Mr. Dykstra is in fact quite minor and does not warrant criminal charges, the fact remains that it's completely untrue. It's like, even if he touched her, it's not illegal touching, but still he didn't touch her. So, but if he did, it's fine.
Okay.
So don't fucking worry about it.
I don't know how much of that I believe, but I get it.
Exactly. He's represented. He gets Robert Shapiro to represent him.
Very smart move.
Who was the first guy OJ had on his team. So 2 weeks in a row.
Right?
Oh yeah, this is prior.
No, this
to
is
that.
post.
No, this is prior.
I thought this was 99.
Oh, this is 99.
Yeah.
I was thinking 93.
I was thinking 91. So listen, we were on the same page.
Our heads are up our asses.
Yeah.
So, he's there. Another guy here who was an architect on the car wash, they interviewed him. He said he's shocked by the allegations. He says this just comes as a complete surprise. This is not a pattern of his behavior, which, let's talk about his behavior.
Oh, boy.
Get into it big time here. 2000 World Series, by the way, Dykstra and a bunch of other people from the 86 Mets team threw out the ceremonial first pitch before Game 5 when they lost the World Series to the Yankees. Ha ha, eat dicks. Yeah, that was the last game of that World Series at Shea Stadium. So I think Mike Piazza made the last out with a long fly ball to center field. Anyway, 2001 here, he is finally he's cleared of these sexual battery and child annoyance charges in 2001.
He's cleared of he does not annoy children.
He is not. He's not a batterer or an annoyance. Here, it's misdemeanor charges here. They said that this is great. The district attorney's office released this statement. Quote, while the district attorney believes that the defendant did engage in the conduct as originally described by the victim, the subsequent investigation revealed additional facts which leads to the conclusion that the charges alleged in the complaint cannot be proven beyond a reasonable doubt to a jury. He's annoying, but we can't prove it.
Right.
So Dykstra's attorney said, while we're pleased that the district attorney has seen fit to drop the charges, we're disappointed that they were filed in the first place. This case had no merit from the outset. No incident of harassment occurred, let alone anything that could conceivably justify the filing of a criminal prosecution.
Jesus.
Criminal prostitution. So, they said, based on our investigation and the evidence we marshaled and turned over to the district attorney's office, this is the police, it was confirmed that the young lady who brought these charges, this is his lawyer, was not honest and not credible. It's not uncommon for high-profile personalities like sports figures to be a target for unmeritorious charges. Whore is what he said. Jesus Christ. They said she was an employee of his car wash. She came to his car wash facility at a time of day when she knew he was present, when she was not scheduled to work. She was supposed to be in school. She sought him out and engaged him in conversation. She talked to her boss.
Weird.
Fucking whore. Burn her at the stake.
How dare that slut want to know her schedule?
Bitch. What the fuck? Jesus Christ.
Well, unbelievable.
Burn her. Yeah. Wow. They also said, quote, he's extremely disappointed and dismayed that his name, reputation, as well as his business have been sullied by the filing of these false charges. But at the same time, he's relieved that whatever damage has been done can now stop and will hopefully be rectified. So everything's fine. I'm good now. And that's that, basically. There's no other. Well, what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
So
there's no jail time to serve.
No.
Right.
2002, Dykstra returns to New York again. He is elected to the Mets' 40th anniversary All-Amazing team.
Oh.
So he returns for a big ceremony.
Yeah. With no G, they literally left the G off of
It's the Amazing Mets.
Okay.
That's what they call them. The Amazing Mets. I don't know why. I don't know why they couldn't be amazing Mets.
They don't have time for that shit.
No, we don't have time for that G. We do have time for an apostrophe, which is also a character, and it takes the same amount of time to type it, but fuck it. No time. Not good. He's also up for the Hall of Fame this year.
Hell yeah.
He does not get in. He gets 0.2% of the vote, which you need like 78%. So little off on that. Who did get in that year? Ozzie Smith, Gary Carter, teammate of his, Jim Rice, who we talked about last. We went to the same high school as OJ. Bruce Sutter, Andre Dawson, Goose Gossage, Burt Blyleven, Jack Morris, and Alan Trammell. Not Lenny Dykstra. So 2005 comes around, and this is the beginning of him thinking that he's a financial wizard. Okay. This is the best. This is when this shit starts. This is when it goes off the rails completely. Jim Cramer, who, if you don't know who he is, he's that idiot on TV. He's the bald idiot who screams and yells about stocks and presses fucking buttons and shit and acts like a complete asshole. What's his name? Mad Money or some shit?
It is.
He is a complete asshole. If you can just look at, I was reading the book about the Daily Show, and Jon Stewart basically tortured this man through the whole financial crisis because he kept fucking recommending stocks that he fucking knew. He was just told by these companies that no, everything's fine. And so he would go on television and tell people, hey, it's fine. Don't sell them. Buy more of this shit. And then they'd go in the fucking toilet. So he was calling him a shill and saying he should be fucking ashamed of himself. The guy's a fucking joke is what he is, Jim Cramer.
It's true.
He's a joke and a complete bald asshole. So anyway, Dykstra here, he said he hooks up with Jim Cramer, who Jim Cramer hires Lenny Dykstra to write a stock picking column for his fucking website.
Oh my God.
So this is a man people listen to for financial news because he's on television for some reason.
He's putting Lenny Dykstra in charge of that.
He says, wouldn't it be fun to have Lenny Dykstra dick with people's money? That he should, who should tell people what to do with their money? Lenny Dykstra. Wow. So Dykstra, now that Jim Cramer approved of him, all of a sudden now he's a financial genius. Everyone just, Lenny Dykstra, he's a financial genius now. Oh, yeah, that's right. He's so smart. He was profiled in a New Yorker article, and I read it, that says, the New Yorker, the title of it is, quote, Nails Never Fails, Baseball's Most Improbable Post-Career Success Story. And they talk all about his stock picks and his appearance on financial news shows, and that who would have thought this idiot who dove into walls and strapped his Mercedes around trees would be a fucking financial guru?
Incredible.
Amazing. He gives Dykstra a stock investment column on thestreet.com, which is his website, Cramer's. Customers paid, oh my God, Jesus Christ. Customers paid, Jimmy, buckle the fuck up, $995.95 a year for Lenny's advice.
What?
Which came, it's Lenny.
Unbelievable.
For that idiot to give you advice in a soaring, was a soaring stock market. So he could have just said, throw your money in the street, and it would have made more money, and he would have been right.
And he looks great.
Oh, good. And he looks like a genius, yeah. In a market like that, everyone looks like a fucking genius because you can't not make money.
Right.
Yeah, that's the problem. Then what happened in 2008, and we'll talk about that.
People didn't look so good.
They didn't look so smart anymore. It's pretty interesting. So, I guess another guy was actually the editor of the column, and this guy says that Dykstra's market prowess was no fabrication, and problem is that it kind of fell apart after that. This guy says, quote, I do think Lenny was deceptively smart in a lot of ways. He didn't know everything about every company. He had about 100 stocks that he followed. He had a research assistant. He made picks when I was with him. So they're saying he actually did the work. 2006, he returns to Shea Stadium for the Mets' 20th anniversary of their championship celebration. He, at that point, voices a greater desire, saying he wants to get back into baseball and he wants to do something. And the Mets, his name gets thrown around as a possible coach, maybe a base coach, or even a minor league manager.
Oh,
we're going to give this guy a team to run.
They're out of their fucking minds.
Can you imagine giving this guy? Here's a bunch of young men. Mold their brains, please.
Tell these guys how to work.
Wow. Run into shit. Don't fucking listen.
Yeah.
No concept of failure.
Heard of steroids?
Heard that? If you jack that in your arm, it's pretty good. He also serves as the part-time instructor at the Mets spring training camp in Port St. Lucie. So in 2007. So he's trying to get back in the game, and that's right when the Mitchell report comes out, and that's when he's right back out of the game. Because he probably would have ended up being a coach, because those old players, they'll hire any of those guys. Go stand at third base and have people cheer you when you come on the field. They don't give a shit. And but the Mitchell report comes out, and those guys were kind of all persona non grata after that for a while, except Mark McGwire, who became the Cardinals hitting coach. But other than that, a lot of these guys were kind of out, and it comes out saying Dykstra was just doing as much shit as he could, and he doesn't fucking deny it. At the time, before the Mitchell report came out, he was denying it, but then after it came out, he was like, yeah, fuck it, who cares?
Once he's named.
I did it, yeah. He says, quote, I was a pioneer for that stuff, the juice. I was like the first to do that, me and Jose Canseco, which isn't true, because him and McGwire were doing it in 87, and he didn't do it till 90. He was joking that he put HGH in his cereal.
What?
Just as much as he could get in him, basically. He said, quote, we're talking about the difference of making $30 million or getting a real job and working and making $60,000, which he probably couldn't make in a real fucking job.
No.
Do you want the guy next to you taking them and you're not going to take them? Which that's a valid point. So in 2008, his son, Cutter, he named his son Cutter, like the pitch, was drafted by the Milwaukee Brewers in the second round of the draft here. He ended up playing with the Nationals organization. He was released in 2016. He's playing somewhere now in the minors. He is married to Meadow Soprano.
That's right.
Yeah.
I remember us talking about
He's
that
married
before.
to Jamie Lynn Sigler, and they have 2 sons.
How about that?
Yeah. Meadow Soprano goes to this idiot's Christmas party.
Meadow Soprano has to go listen to him.
She has to go listen to him and think, this is your father figure?
How's your investments,
Meadow?
How's
everything going? Yeah. No, I'm fine. That Soprano's money's going to sit tight. It's doing just well. All annuities, pal. Don't worry about it. Speaking of annuities, this is when it's he thinks he knows about that kind of shit too. April of 2008, he starts a magazine, and we talked about this last time, and it is just a boatload of crazy. It's called the Players Club magazine, and it's launched and it's directed toward professional athletes with a lot of disposable income, and it advertises like everything from concierge services for, to book you a weekend with your wife away somewhere, or to book travel, or to do this or to do that. Everything from that to like there's yachts advertised in there and private jets.
Hell
and shit that
the luxurious shit. So if you want to spend your money,
exactly,
I got you covered there.
And also investment advice in here. And talk about annuities and people like that. So his idea is, he says, being who he is, he can get this magazine into all these players' lockers. So he says, if this magazine starts out going right in these players' lockers, we're going to do great, because we're going to have advertisers. They're going to be buying our shit. It's all going to work out. Now in Adweek, you know what Adweek is? It's an advertising publication that talks about Adweek. They talk about,
it's like Newsweek for ads.
Exactly. They have a thing about this in there. And they say, quote, heading into a recession, because this is 2008, the market just crashed.
It's collapsed.
Money was on fire. People were fucking fleeing for the hills. George Bush was buried 12 feet under the ground going, is it stopping yet? Are they still mad at me? He was just sitting in a hole in the yard going, does everybody still want to kill me? Is my approval rating over 10% yet?
He's in bad. Hitler's bunker with a 38.
It was bad. Hitler had a higher approval rating than him in early 2008. That's not political.
True.
That's fucking true. I think his approval rate was like 18% at one point, which is unheard of.
People were mad.
They were
when
pissed.
Your house ain't worth shit, you got to blame somebody.
The houses weren't worth shit. The banks were closing. Literally, fucking banks were folding. People were going to get their money, and they were getting a shrug, and like it was crazy times. So it was bad stuff. This guy's going, I'm going to put out a luxury magazine. So it says, heading into a recession with print advertising nearly universally in the toilet, it's an interesting time to start a magazine. But former Phillies and Mets star Lenny Dykstra does not let that daunt him. No concept of failure. The first issue of the Players Club, his magazine for pro athletes, looking for sensible ways to spend their millions, arrived in the office, and it's
sensible. A fucking yacht.
Yeah, that's what they talk about. They say the advertiser list is predictable but impressive. Several full-page ads from private jet companies, lots of disturbingly fancy watches, some cigars and luxury cars. As for content, the Players Club rightly goes for the short and snappy rather than the New York Review or of books type essays. There's an obligatory cover puff piece on Derek Jeter of a ranking of rich athletes and the world's best golf courses. My personal favorite, a photo spread of Phillies Pat Burrell in a $4,500 Savile Row suit. So, yeah. So what is this magazine exactly? Well, he says it's much more than just a print magazine. It's supposed to be a comprehensive lifestyle and financial brokerage company aimed at assisting professional athletes with all aspects of their off-field lives, from their playing days into retirement. Concierge services, everything from people will send your wife flowers on Valentine's Day, to financial financial services referral unit that helps players build income annuities, and what Lenny calls recurring cash flow to guarantee a steady paycheck. He spent $600,000 on a launch party for the magazine.
His own money. For a party.
On a party.
Not for the magazine.
No. For the launch party.
Holy shit.
It was at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel there, and I think in New York, and it's $600,000. That's all I have to say. There were supposed to be appearances by Derek Jeter, because he was the first cover star, and Donald Trump was supposed to be there, and but there was a Yankee had a rain delay a few days earlier at a rain out, so the Yankees had to make up a game that night. So Jeter couldn't make it, and instead of Trump coming, he sent fucking Don Jr.
Oh, no.
Said, here, look at this douchebag. Send him to your fucking party. Here, no, he's worthless. Don't worry about it. But he still named me. It's fine. He's pointless, but there's this guy.
Junior.
How disappointed is that? When you Jesus, not only you're a junior, you're this junior. You're just
Don Junior.
You're just never mind your dad. You're just you. Just kind of useless. Just kind of there.
You're a lizard man.
You're just there, dude. Jeez,
there you are.
He should have sent Ivanka. At least people would have,
at least people would have ogled her tits or something.
It's Don Jr. They're like, who is that? The Trump's kid? A spoiled bitch, and they'd walk away. Fuck that guy. So, Jim Cramer was there, takes to the stage to praise his investing savvy of Lenny Dykstra, just everything. And Dykstra was obviously hammered and groping women and everything that night.
That's our guy.
Oh, yeah. There's later on pictures of him in a strip club dressed like Santa Claus with like naked women all over him. It's horrifying. So let's get into this magazine and what it was like on the inside of this magazine. There's a guy named Kevin Coughlin who worked for the New York Post, and then he ended up working for Lenny Dykstra, as we'll talk about here. And he wrote a GQ article. We talked about it a bit in the first episode, but we'll get into it a little deeper here. Now, he says that he has a job interview with Lenny, and it starts at 1 a.m. So he said it's 1 o'clock in the morning and he's got a job interview, which is strange to begin with. So he walks in and he says Lenny's a mess in his hotel room. He's got 3 laptops with there's cables everywhere. He's got phones all over the place. He's on the phone yelling at somebody. It's the middle of the night. Who are you yelling at exactly? So, Lenny starts by asking him, why would you want to leave your current job? He was the sports photo editor at the New York Post. And the guy said he's looking for a leadership position. He wants to go get in the ground floor of something that's growing and that sort of thing. And he said, this looks like a good fit. So, that's why I'm interested in this. So Lenny, rather than tell him, yeah, my company is this and that, Lenny responds by showing him his watch. Yeah. He goes, here's my watch.
Check this out.
He's like, okay. Cool. What else do you say? Cool, bro. So Lenny says to him, quote, I don't wear jewelry except for this. It's the best in the world. Costs $65,000. Yeah. So it's a Patek Philippe watch. Obviously, that's the only watches I know of that cost $65,000. I'm sure there's more, but I'm sure there are. I'm not a luxury watch expert. I only know.
Once you put gemstones in them, they get pricey.
I only know that from The Sopranos because the one guy Tony gave the guy who gave him financial advice a Patek Philippe. Wow. And it was like $15,000 or some shit. I don't think Tony paid that, obviously, but anyway. So he says, it's a nice watch, I don't know. He says at the time, he's like, I don't know what this has to do with anything with my job, but.
Can I use the restroom first?
Yeah. Hold on.
Look at these socks.
See these gaiters on my feet? So he then says, you see, Kevin, the Players Club is not just a magazine. It's an actual club of players helping players. Do you want to be a part of the Players Club?
Yeah, I would
This sounds like there's fucking involved when he says it like
wonderful.
that. Yeah, that sounds wonderful. He says that instead of saying yes, he says that he made the mistake of saying he'd like to hear a little bit more about the business before signing on. So then Lenny obviously isn't going to give him Lenny then gave him a comprehensive breakdown. Right. He had the prospectus there, charts and graphs. And he said, this is what we're talking about profit for here. We're looking to, no, that's not what he did. He actually handed him a MacBook Air and said, dude, this will be one of your computers when you take this job.
Okay.
That was the answer to that.
That's how the company's doing.
I'd like to know a little more about your company before signing on. Dude, this will be your computer. And then he just went back to doing what he was doing. There's I don't know if that's...
Here's a computer. I got to watch. See ya.
Yeah, see you later. Here's a computer and I got to watch.
Get to work, bitch.
Wait till he talks about his tie. Oh, my God. So he says he sits down next to Lenny and Lenny pulls up his laptop and Lenny basically spends the next couple hours just dicking around. They said they sat on the sofa. Lenny's emailing him things. He's got slideshows from the magazine, YouTube clips, articles about himself, about the magazine, rather than just explaining it to him. Mm-hmm. This is what he does for 2 hours. He said the only magazine stuff they talked about was the new logo. Mm-hmm. He emails him a link to it, and then he calls in this woman who Lenny calls his flight attendant. I don't know who that is. This guy says she's an attractive woman in her mid-20s, and she says she likes the logo. And at that point, this guy says his wife called him, this Kevin Coughlin, and she's like, what are you doing? It's like 3 a.m. What's going on? And he said, I'm working with Lenny. And he says it's 3 a.m. And he tells Lenny that he needs to be on the 3:10 train back to Long Island.
That's a long ride.
I'm going all the way back to New Orleans today. So he says, I got to go back to Long Island on the 3:10. So Lenny says, dude, I'll put you in a car and send you home when we're done. Mm-hmm. So this guy's like, well, fuck, cool. That's way better than riding the 3:10 train to fucking Long Island. Awesome. So he said the only time he'd ever been offered a late night car ride from the New York Post was when the Pope died. and he had to cover that. Otherwise, you're not getting shit out of a newspaper. So he says at 4:00, his wife calls again, and he says, I'm still working with Lenny. Basically, he's just listening to Lenny rant and rave about stock tips, and said he's just eating a bunch of licorice and drinking fucking bottle after bottle of Coke.
He's 11.
He's exactly what he is.
He's an 11-year-old running a company.
Running a company with all this shit and sugar running through his veins. Running it on sugar. So he says the interview just ends up them sitting around. He said, I'm there for no apparent reason why I'm still here. He says, but who knows? Maybe that's just how Lenny is. He says for the first time, he's like, what am I doing here? In this whole thing. He says at that point, Lenny perks up and says, hey, bro, why don't you sleep over and we'll go get some breakfast in the morning and work some more. He hasn't even fucking taken the job yet. Have you ever been asked to sleep over for a job interview?
By a dude that's sucking on licorice and drinking soda?
Hey, dude, I got an extra sleeping bag. Why don't you just stay here?
Big?
Yeah. What?
Who are you, Tom Hanks? Stop this.
You can have the top bunk.
I can go home.
You can have the top bunk, dude. It's totally cool. So he's like, what the fuck is going on? So he tells, look, before we, I start sleeping over and stuff, he goes, why don't we move on in this deal and let's see if we can work something out.
Sure, here's a lucky Dakota ring.
There you go. Have fun. Pop-Tarts in the morning?
You
like the strawberry ones? I'll get them out for you. I'll tell Mom. It's sweet. I got it out of a box of honeycombs.
It's glow in the dark.
It's awesome. So he says that Lenny offers him $100,000 a year plus full benefits, which in New York is not that spectacular.
Yeah, but it's a
and
decent
in 2008,
wage.
Yeah, it's okay. You can live in fucking Jersey. So that's what it is. So he says, or Long Island, if you find a neighborhood that's not the greatest, because it's expensive there. He says, quote, I counter that I heard a photo editor at ESPN, the magazine, had been offered $120,000 for the same job. So Lenny says, quote, you know what, bro? That guy was scared of me. So he's like, I don't understand what you're talking about. Yeah. That guy was scared of me. So he pulls up an email that he sent to this other guy, and he's showing him that how he ended their negotiation. And then Lenny says to him, quote, the eyes, Chico, they never lie. Isn't like Scarface. Yeah, that's Scarface line. Then he turns to him and says, I like you. You're not scared of anything. I can see that in your eyes. So do you buy into the Players Club? Which is just like this crazy thing. And now he says he looks at his watch. It's 5:00 in the morning. And he just goes, sure, Lenny, that sounds good.
Sure, guy, I got to go.
Sure, let's do it. Why not? So then Lenny says, great, let's get you on the payroll then. They shake hands. And Lenny says, as he's ready to leave, Lenny says, how much is a taxi to Long Island going to cost? This guy says between $50 and $100. Lenny gives him a $100 bill and says, you got $50 change? And so the guy gave him a 50 back, and the cab was $80. So right away he's down $30 here.
Oh no.
And it gets worse. This is just the beginning of the whole thing. They talk about Jesus Christ, everything he says. He says Lenny would say everything that you have to look at the play at the plate here. That was his way of like making a baseball euphemism for all this thing. He tells him that, look, I want to make you a partner in the Players Club and sell it to someone in a few years for like $300 million. He was saying how the Players Club was going straight into 20,000 players' lockers and penetrating a $60 billion industry.
Oh boy.
He said the professional sports market, that's, everything's great. He said he projected within 10 years, there'd be $11.6 billion in player assets to manage. He says as long as the athletes are getting paid for playing sports, there's going to be a market for them. He said Lenny told him, quote, we're recession proof, baby.
Oh boy.
Which is scary to say in 2008.
That's the worst words.
While money was on fire.
Right.
Not good. So he says that he's getting to know the staff. He's doing all this shit. He says that he doesn't think Lenny has a handle on the cash flow aspect of running a business. The important part.
The capital.
The part where there's money, and that's the whole point you're doing this for.
The resource and the reason.
Yeah, he says that... He says, I'm informed by other employees that I should deposit my paycheck as soon as I receive it, as Lenny sometimes moves money out of his accounts, and once it's gone, good luck. So previous employees have left when their paychecks never materialize, and Lenny calls those guys losers and quitters. So that's how that works. You're a loser and a quitter if you quit, even though you're not getting paid. So he says the weirdest thing about the whole thing with Lenny was Lenny's just adolescence. Like we were saying, he's like an 11-year-old. He said they'd have editorial brainstorming sessions that were just Lenny eating Coke and drinking Coke and eating ice cream sundaes until like 5 a.m.
Can't believe how childish he is.
He's just like, I can eat ice cream whenever I want. I'm a grown up.
You know how much money I've made? I can do whatever I want. Where's the Briars?
That's what I mean. Like,
I want a root beer float.
Yeah, it's so fucking weird. Now, granted, I am definitely known to have a root beer float at 2 o'clock in the morning, but
look at this.
It's not for celebration of money. It's just for I'm hungry and I stay up late.
And you're playing. You're being a joker. You know what I want? I'm going to go crazy tonight. This is fucking every night for him.
This is constant.
Jesus
this
is
Christ.
Life.
He says that he would crack up at his own jokes, and he was just basically, he said all this shit would happen all night, but nothing would actually get done. Like he said that he showed him the segment on TV that he was on where he points to his spot on the plane and he says, this is where the big man sits. Like all that kind of shit. He also liked to fart for his employees.
Ugh,
he liked to do that. He liked to just fart around the office and then laugh about it, fart at people. He said he would show off his tie. He would say, you see this tie? I paid $500 for it. Then he would rub it on his balls and laugh. And we'd be like, okay, that's terrific. His best workplace prank that he said was saying something outrageous to see how those around him would react. He said a lot of times it would be on himself. One of his first time visits to the office, he said Lenny, who obviously everybody knows did roids, he said that he blurts out to 2 other people, back in the old days, we'd rub some HGH on our elbows and knees, joking around, and just to see what they'd say, and no one knew if he was joking or not, so they didn't know how to react because they don't want to get fired by this lunatic. So other times he would just be very offensive. He says a particular layout for the magazine looked, quote, faggy. Yeah. So despite
a guy that farts in the office says faggy,
well, despite the fact that the page designer was gay and standing right there, he says that looks faggy.
And the guy's like, sir.
Well, this is what we'll talk about here. Then he says, and we're going to say, he's going to say some offensive shit here. And if I say F word, you don't know what I'm talking about. So I have to say that. So he says that. And then he says later on, once the guy left, he said, Lenny turned to him and said, quote, did you see the look on that fag's face? So he's doing it to fuck with people.
Yeah, he's doing it on purpose.
He's not doing it because that's just how he talks and he's not oblivious. He wanted to fuck with that guy.
He wanted to rise out.
Which is the absolute biggest asshole in the world. Yeah, exactly. He's not Archie Bunker who just says it because he doesn't know any better. Right. He knows what he's doing.
He knows it and he's doing it on purpose.
Yeah. On another occasion, he gets a call from Lenny about potential people to put on the cover. And Lenny's on speakerphone when he states for this man and his wife, who this guy's got him on speaker, he says that, quote, because they're talking about who's going to be on covers, and they said, well, that wouldn't something seem racist? And Lenny says, here's the line from the last one, quote, nobody can call me a racist. I put 3 darkies and a bitch on my first 4 covers. 3 darkies and a bitch. So take that. And a bitch, Jimmy. My first 4 covers. Derek Jeter, Chris Paul, Tiger Woods, Danica Patrick was the first 4 covers, by the way.
3. It's so hard to even say it.
3 darkies and a bitch.
That's so uncomfortable.
It gets worse.
Yeah.
It gets worse because the guy was like, him and his wife were like, pardon?
Yeah.
So he just said, what was that, Lenny? Yeah. Like he didn't know if he heard him correctly and wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt here. Lenny says louder, quote, I said I put 3 spear chuckers on the cover.
No.
That's what he said.
Fucking
way. That's what he said. You can't say that. That's what he said.
Did we say that last time?
Fuck yeah, we did.
How did he... Where did he say this?
Darkies and the bitch, and they said, what was that? I said I put 3 spear chuckers on, spear chuckers.
Oh, my God.
You know.
He
just kept going.
Yeah, he sounds like Dice Clay.
It's fucking ridiculous. I said I put 5 porch monkeys on there. What do you think of that? What the fuck are you doing? You can't do that.
What's the matter? You never heard of a moon cricket? What's the matter with you?
This is ridiculous, dude. You can't say this shit to one of your employees at all. This is not okay. Lord. So, yeah, not okay. So this guy is horrified by this behavior, obviously, as you might imagine, as anybody would fucking be. He said by the end of August, the September issue is almost out, and he said it looked pretty good. Lenny sends him congratulatory emails. Great job. You brought in a winner. Way to go, in all capital letters. So he said, he felt better about it. So he's like, man, this feels like a good decision that I made to be a part of this magazine. It's crazy and everything, but maybe it's good. Then he said on a Saturday, before Labor Day, 3:30 in the afternoon, he gets a call from Lenny. He said Lenny is speaking in a slurred voice, more slurred than usual, because he's usually mumbling.
Yeah.
This is worse. Lenny says, quote, "Hey, bro, I got a guy from this jet company is going to call you in a few minutes and ask for your credit card." So he goes, "What the hell for, Lenny? Hey, what's that?" And he says, "I said the guy's a spear chucker." And he said, "He's not going to charge your card, bro. It's just an authorization on it so I can reserve a private jet to get me to Atlanta where I'm going to pick up $500,000 in cash." Okay. So he said, this was his moment, this Kevin Coughlin, when he started to kind of think this is weird.
Right.
And things started to go a little wrong.
Then he started thinking of a cab ride that cost him $30.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know about this. And he said, what the fuck? He said, I should have said no, but instead he said, he was asking myself why a multimillionaire needs an employee's credit card for a flight. And he says, what's up with that? And he mumbled, and he said Lenny mumbled something about having high limit cards off the charts but he can't make telephone authorizations on them for some reason. But yours I can.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Because yours isn't as high a
yeah,
limit as
so
mine.
it's, how that goes.
I've got like $70,000 badillion.
So they're clearly not going to let me just authorize things. Whereas you,
$3,000.
It's like your mortgage, so,
right.
What do you care? So he says, Lenny, I'm trusting you to do right by me. I don't want to be stuck with these charges. Lenny says, you can trust me with your life, bro. Then he says, but don't tell anyone about this, okay? Which sounds like he just took his finger out of his asshole when he said it. Hey, you can trust me with your life, bro. Yeah. And don't tell anyone about this, okay? Yeah, this is like he just molested him. This is super weird.
Horrible.
He said then that Tuesday he gets a call from another charter jet company saying that his credit card's been denied. Kevin's card's been denied for new authorizations for over $22,000.
Oh, what's going on, Lenny?
Yeah, he said he corrected the man on the phone. He said, no, there should only be one authorization for $13,000 or $14,000. The guy says, Mr. Coughlin, Mr. Dykstra has requested another flight from Helena, Montana to Atlanta in the amount of $22,937. So, Lenny had made a personal stop in Atlanta on his credit card to hang out with Cutter, who was playing for the Helena Brewers at that point, and a minor league deal here. He says he calls Lenny, who assured him that it was only an authorization, not a charge. He says that using his credit card information is kind of not okay. It's kind of credit card fraud. He didn't really tell him he could use it the second time. So Lenny says, bro, I'm going to Atlanta to pick up $500,000 in cash. You're going to make the easiest $5,000 in your life you've ever made. So he's like, what are you talking about? He says, are you offering to pay me money to use the credit card? He said, you don't need to offer me money. Just pay the bill. Right. And he says, get me on that plane and it's $5,000 in your pocket, bro. He's like, but you don't have to sell me. So he said he's already on the hook for $14,000. This guy, he says he doesn't know if he'll ever see the $5,000 Lenny's promising, but he's worried that unless he ponies up the rest, he'll have to basically eat that Lenny's not going to pay him for the first bill. So he says, I'm in for a fucking, in for a penny, in for a pound, I guess is what it is. So he calls up the charter and puts his remaining 4 credit cards together for about $18,000.
Oh, dear Christ.
Leaving him about $5,000 short of the flight, but also maxing out everything he has.
Right.
And Lenny's personal assistant put her card down for the rest of the $5,000. So he gets on the plane, but the $5,000, he said he never got it, obviously. He said it'll be 14 days before the authorizations will get cleared, long enough for his wife to find out what he's been doing and for them to be late on their mortgage payment now.
Of course.
So they're fucked, basically. Later on, he also learns that Lenny also attempted to persuade one of the magazine's advertisers to put up their credit card for his private flights, again with the promise of cash. So this is when everything started happening. He doesn't show up for a meeting on September 23rd at the magazine, and there's a meeting with the company that they leased from, which is on 245 Park Avenue. Very expensive real estate. And Lenny owes shitloads of back rent, so they shut off their phone and internet access. Kind of the lifeblood of a magazine. That pretty much ends the whole thing.
Yeah, you're sunk.
You're fucked. He said, we spent the following day packing magazines, office supplies, and computers into boxes and trudging out of the building. So he said from now on, I guess the Players Club is going to be published out of their homes. He said 6 days later, he stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning to complete his work on the next issue. And in the morning, he says that he gets a call. It's his 67th day working there. He gets a call from one of the guys who works there saying, quote, Lenny is going in another direction. So now he's fired. But he still owed all this money for his credit cards. He's owed back pay. So he just says, just pay me. And they
give me the cash and I'll roll.
He tried to hunt him down and never got cash. And so that's why he's writing GQ articles about it.
Incredible.
So yeah, April 2009, Terry, his wife, files for divorce. Lenny's wife, not Kevin Coughlin's wife, who his wife would have been justified as well.
She probably would.
Yeah, but Lenny's wife files for divorce. Okay. And they're going to have a weird relationship, by the way.
From now on?
Well, yeah, because then he's going to end up living with her later, even though they're divorced and stay divorced. It's super weird. So, this is the time he said he thought he had $2 million, and his broker told him he was down to $400,000 at one point. So, there's this documentary, some shit, how they talk about what a financial genius he is, and the voiceover says, Lenny may be able to afford a luxurious lifestyle, but you won't see him on the golf course. Lenny doesn't do leisure. It shows him, hustling all around. Yeah. And then they have a clip of Jim Cramer saying, quote, he's one of the great ones in this business. One of the great ones. That's what he says. They should just, whenever Jim Cramer says anything, they should just play that back to him and go, yeah, Jim? Yeah? Is it as good as Lenny Dykstra?
Do you remember this?
Is it? Let me ask you, is that tip as good as Lenny Dykstra? That's what I'm asking you, because you're a fucking dummy. You stupid asshole. I want to see a show with Skip Bayless and Jim Cramer, and it's called Fight to the Death. And whoever wins, we kill the other one. We kill him.
We throw a broken pool cue in there and say, one of you come out.
One of you come out, and then whoever stumbles out, we kill him with the other half of the pool cue. Right through the heart like a fucking vampire. That's the end of it. So he says at this point, an ex-teammate, helped him, was looking for a job, and he decided that he needed to do something to help players learn financial independence and, this whole thing. And so the Players Club magazine didn't work out, but he said that he could still, do something. This video said, quote, it's a world of wealth, family, fame, and drama. Even in his 40s, Lenny keeps hitting it out of the park. It's so fucking cheesy. They show him in his mansion, which is Wayne Gretzky's old house. Right. And he says, Lenny's there, and he goes, it's the best house in the world. God damn it. It's the best house in the world. Where do you go from here? Heaven? I mean, where do you go? That's what he says. And they said,
I need this to put this watch in it.
It's an expensive watch. Where's it go? $65,000. It's the best. It's the best watch and the best house. What do you do? And then they ask him at the end, what do you say to anyone who doubts your financial genius? And his words, fuck them. Fuck them.
Very, very
How dare they? Yeah.
Very highbrow.
So in 2009, he claims bankruptcy.
Yeah, of course.
Genius. Yeah. He's one of the great ones. Yeah. One of the great ones. It's at this point he claims bankruptcy, and he is accused later on of removing and destroying and selling property that was part of the bankruptcy estate without permission of the bankruptcy trustee. Right. He had assets listed of $24.6 million and overall debts of $37.1 million.
That's no good.
Which is bad math. That means you owe $13 million to fucking somebody. This included the California mansion, which he purchased from Wayne Gretzky, which he purchased for $18.5 million. Fucking dollars.
Why would you want that?
And a home in Westlake Village, which is worth $5.4 million that he bought. So the house is fucking gorgeous. I don't know what you do in it. Yeah, it's a palatial estate. It's insane. It's insane. This house.
Stupid.
Very. So December 2010, Lenny Dykstra's housekeeper accuses him of sexual assault. So, prosecutors will file charges later. They say don't file them right this minute. Jesus Christ. The 41-year-old woman here alleged that Dykstra forced her to give him oral sex on Saturdays.
Oh, gross.
On Saturdays.
Only Saturdays.
On Saturdays, yeah.
Good morning. You know what day it is?
She hates Fridays. She's like, fuck.
Everybody loves Fridays but me.
I hate dicks, it's Friday. Shit. So the woman told investigators, quote, she needed the job and the money, so she went along with his requests rather than lose her job. She said that she returned to work in his home with the knowledge that she obtained from the internet of a claim of sexual assault by another woman. So that's when she started saying that maybe she should say something. She did not. The housekeeper did not report the assaults until Dykstra failed to pay her money he owed her for pay.
Right.
She's like, well, if it's not a job anymore, if I'm just blowing you for free, this isn't. No thanks.
This sucks.
This is an even worse job.
This literally sucks. This is the worst.
Investigators discovered text messages from the woman to Dykstra demanding her back pay for that. So they didn't know if she was trying to blackmail him or the back pay. So they didn't know what to do here. So in an interview here, he denies the allegations, saying she was trying to extort money from him to buy drugs. He says, quote, if she was assaulted on Saturdays, then I'm a ballerina dancer on Sundays. This is a maid. That's not even worth commenting on. Are you kidding me? I'm Lenny Dykstra. I don't fuck maids. This is a maid. This isn't even worth commenting on. That's what she said. This isn't even a human being. Once you clean a toilet, then you cease to be a human being anymore.
You're allowed to just get cum in your face.
Who fucks you then? Nobody. This is ridiculous. Not worth commenting on. Of course she blows me on Saturdays. It's part of the job. Wow. Wow.
She does way worse things on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. She's a maid, you guys. I'm giving her a break on Saturday.
Would you rather do that or clean my shit flex off the toilet? Which one? So 2010, he moves back into the Gretzky mansion here that he's been booted out of for a little bit. He has no furniture in this house. It is a giant empty mansion, cavernous. And we talked about this last time. They do a real sports segment here, the HBO show. And by the way, he had a big party when he moved back into the house to celebrate. The invitation said, quote, earn your keep. You're invited to join Lenny Dykstra and friends as he reclaims the house that Gretzky built. With no furniture, and then he'll be booted out very soon. So in the real sports segment, Bernard Goldman goes there. He goes into an empty house. The door's open.
Right.
So he walks in. They can't find Lenny. They walk around. Lenny. He calls him on the phone from like different rooms. They show him in a different giant fucking empty room every time. And he's like, Lenny, finally after 25 minutes, Lenny comes down the stairs, which is ridiculous. And they're talking and they cut to them talking. And Bernard Goldman says, it's my impression that you're broke, that you owe everybody money. And Dykstra says, who do I owe money? What are you talking about? Who do I owe money? And he won't look at him too. He's looking down. Who do I owe money? Goldman says, well, the printer for your magazine, that's one. And Lenny says, printers are criminals. They're fucking criminals, those printers. He goes, we don't work with them anymore. And Goldman says, okay, the printers are criminals. Okay, well, that makes sense. Everybody's a criminal, I guess. And they go, what about this personal assistant? Your personal assistant says you owe him money. She says, he says, that's just people wanting to take my money. They're all criminals. He says, the cases are all bullshit. So it's all bullshit. So Bernard Goldman's like, okay, so the printers are criminals. They're full of shit. He goes, okay, what about this house is in foreclosure?
Right.
He goes, what about that? And Lenny says, quote, what foreclosure? Who's sitting in here?
What? That doesn't even.
What? He looked
They're
around.
Not even connected.
He looked around like to say, like, is anyone else here, or is this my house still? Did I wander into someone else's house? Like, what? Who's sitting here? There's no one else here. Just me. Meanwhile, it's in foreclosure, meaning once they do foreclose on it, then it won't be you anymore.
Right.
He's just trying to say you're in financial troubles, and he's saying no. So then he starts showing Goldman pictures of a German Shepherd that he's buying for $10,000. And he goes, see that? That's a champion right there. Comes from the best lines. And Bernard Goldman's like, okay.
I don't care.
You owe millions of dollars. What are you talking about? So then Goldman says, what do you say to the people who think once upon a time you were flying high and now you're broke? And I'm one of them, by the way, he says. Like, I don't believe you at all.
What do you say to all those people behind that camera? And then this one.
This guy. And then everyone else.
Sitting right here.
This one talking to you. He says, what do you say to them? And so Lenny, what do you say to your broke? He reaches in his pocket and starts fumbling around and pulls out some cash.
Yeah.
He just takes some cash out of it. You owe millions of dollars. You don't have it on you. He takes it out and starts just like looking through it, like counting it. And Bernard goes, okay, so you have $75 in your pocket. So what? And Lenny's counting it and he mumbles. He goes, I don't know about $75. I never carry less than $1,000. I don't know. He goes, but flying high looks like I'm still flying pretty fucking high, by the way, doesn't it? I'm flying higher. I'm flying higher, he says. No, not at all. What he was really doing is he was all that private plane bullshit. He says about what caused all this. He said he was just never satisfied. He thought, I'll be happy when I have my own Gulfstream, the plane.
Well, me too.
I love that. He said, but then at the end of it, I get there and he goes, I look back and I go, oh no, it's not about the Gulfstream. I want a different Gulfstream. It's not a good enough Gulfstream. So he's got all sorts of shit. So now it's when he has other financial problems while this is all going on. Of course. The house and everything like that. There's a guy named Wilberto Hernandez. Mm-hmm. We didn't talk about this at all last time.
No.
This fits the pattern perfectly. Hernandez barely knew Lenny Dykstra. They met once in September of 2010. They were introduced by a mutual friend named Robert Heimers. Mm-hmm. And this guy was kind of a mild dude. He was a church guy, 27-year-old accountant at Ernst Young, which is like a boring, big boring accounting. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Big, boring accounting firm in every city. So, Valentine's Day 2011, he ends up, he tells later on that he gets introduced to Dykstra so that Dykstra could help him improve his credit.
Yeah.
Dykstra is going to get involved in a company called Rebound Credit later on, and this is kind of the beginning of it. He says he can help him fix his credit, like Lenny's going to help you fix your credit. He just got bankrupt, foreclosed on.
So did half America.
That's
what he's
the
doing.
Truth.
That's what he's doing. He's trying to capitalize on that.
He could do that too at the time.
Yeah.
He said, at the time though, he didn't realize that this one guy, the Heimers guy, who had been doing financial work for Dykstra, Dykstra had taken this guy in.
Yeah.
Basically, he's got this Heimers guy completely snowed,
Sure.
and now this guy's bringing in people for Lenny to latch onto.
Sure.
So that's how this is working here. He said this Heimers guy had been hanging out with him, meeting retired ball players, hanging out with celebrities, hanging out with Charlie Sheen, driving before pre-AIDS Charlie Sheen, driving around in fancy cars. And this Heimers guy here, he told the police later on that he would lend Dykstra money and credit cards. And he said that he didn't care. Spending time with Lenny was like being in a movie. He said it was just too much fun. Basically, they, at one point, Heimers, with Dykstra, made a nighttime visit to Doc Gooden while Doc Gooden was on the VH1 Celebrity Rehab show.
I remember that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Dykstra tried to get him he tried to spring him from the house, and he ended up basically getting Gooden's bags and leaving with those. That was a big deal. And then they had, in February, in late 2010, this Heimers guy started helping Dykstra package assets, which was his MLB pension and a stake in an online celebrity poker site called Hollywood Poker that he was going to use as collateral to obtain loans.
Got it.
Is whatever. So Dykstra promises Heimers guy equity in his new business, Home Free Systems, which is there to help people refinance predatory home mortgages, which there was a lot of those companies popping up in 2010.
He's just an arrogant fuck that'll just take advantage of every situation.
No concept of failure.
None.
Only sees success. That's it. So Dykstra introduced this Heimers guy to Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Who this Heimers guy hoped that they could partner together on an energy drink. Yeah. So this guy's got an idea with the slogan Sheen Power, Sheen Blood, Sheen Energy. This is pre-AIDS.
That's a bad name.
This is when he was coming out with all that tiger blood shit, and I'm winning and all that horse shit. Right. This is before his blood was considered not okay to drink, apparently.
It probably was not okay to drink back then.
Oh, I'm sure it wasn't, but people didn't know that, and you wouldn't put that on anything that you're going to put into your body.
That's amazing.
Power, AIDS, blood, energy. No. He also wanted to market an e-cigarette, an electronic cigarette called the Nico-Sheen through a company called Vapor Rush. This Vapor Rush here company, they filed for the Nico-Sheen trademark in 2011. Wow. Later that month, the Nico-Sheen would be billed as the, quote, winning e-cigarette.
So that's what they announced. He had already done it. He'd already lost his mind there.
But, God, yeah. So this Heimers here, he wanted to be partners with Charlie Sheen. He's like, this is great.
Well, yeah, the man's the fastest to 1 million followers on Twitter.
And he's a famous actor.
Strike while the iron's hot.
know, it's Rick Vaughn. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's fun.
But famous actor or not, there is no fucking way I want to be in business with that guy today.
No, not now. But this is 2011. This is when the Crazy was just coming out, but he was still a major TV star.
People are making shirts.
He was a huge TV star. Yeah. Things were going well for him here. So he referred to Dykstra here in an interview with the police later on. He referred to Dykstra as, quote, Sheen rich and cash poor. So he was like, he hangs out with Charlie Sheen, but he's got no money.
That's not a good way to be.
No, you don't want to be Sheen rich or cash poor. He also said that he was basically, this guy said he tried to help Lenny Dykstra. He said, quote, some nights he'll be in Beverly Hills staying in a hotel, and other nights he'll be in his car, about Lenny Dykstra. Yeah. He said he recounted he tried to take Dykstra to church to try to, what are you going to reform Lenny Dykstra? Yeah. He said Dykstra immediately upon walking in claimed to smell mold in the church and right then called an insurance adjuster to come to the building after hours to inspect it. He says the insurance adjuster is a friend and he'll give him a kickback if there's any money to be made from a claim. So he brings him to church, and within a minute and a half, he's trying to involve the church in insurance fraud. Within 2 minutes. He's like, how can we make this a criminal venture?
How can I make money?
Jesus. Yeah. How can we make something out of this? This is crazy. See, what you're doing is you're doing the wrong thing. You're passing around these plates. You don't go to these people. They don't have any money. You go to the insurance companies. They have all the money. So it's really weird. So the guy says that I've never been good at profiling people, and Lenny took advantage of that. So, this Heimers guy did some tax work for the Wilberto Hernandez guy and had his personal information stored on his laptop there. And he said that his laptop, this Heimers laptop, had been stolen in the fall of 2010. Mm-hmm. In 2011, Heimers said that later on, he said it was taken while he fell asleep during a late night working session with Dykstra in a room at a hotel in L.A. He said when he woke up, he said, "Where's my laptop?" And Dykstra told him that a prostitute had come in, threatened him with a taser, and taken the laptop. He said a prostitute came into the room with a taser, didn't want anything else, and by the way, didn't even wake this guy up. You know, a prostitute with a taser sounds like a laptop.
Computer.
Give me the laptop. Okay, a Dell laptop. What? What was that? $450 at Dell. It's a piece of shit. Who cares? But
you want our gateway too? What are you doing here?
My gateway with the cow print on it on the side. So this is what he tells him. So he didn't know, he couldn't really believe that, he said. But so his laptop with all his clients' personal financial information was on this laptop, and it's now gone. So a personal assistant for Lenny Dykstra ended up passing along a tip. He says when this guy's trying to figure out what Dykstra's doing, the old assistant says Lenny never erases any of his Yahoo email. So they end up telling the police that, and the police get a search warrant for his Yahoo email, and they find all of these shitloads of emails about all these different financial schemes and scams and fucking all this crazy shit. They found copies of pay stubs from Home Free Systems, which he said was his company, made out to a woman named Jessica Costa, who is a 35-year-old model and single mother of 5, who met Dykstra in 2010 at a party. And in an email, she said that, quote, modeling is not my dream job. She said she's a model. I studied electrical engineering. However, it pays the bills. Apparently, this lady here, she knew Dykstra but never did any work for him and never received any of the money indicated in the pay stubs. He just met a person at a party and put her name on the payroll and paid himself that money.
Holy shit.
So he was putting people in as employees so he could embezzle the money from the company, basically.
Unbelievable.
It's like a mob thing, like a no show job.
Just everybody
for a
you
prisoner.
meet?
Yeah, that's what he was doing. That's exactly what he was doing. In the documents of the company, she's portrayed as the company's sales director, even though she's never worked there. Met him one time at a salary of $120,000 a year, and a credit application in her name was used in November 2010 to lease a Porsche 911 for Lenny from a dealership in Newport Beach.
That seems illegal.
It's excessively illegal. The prosecutors say that Home Free Systems was a company in name only. They said account statements for the company proved that after these banks were eventually contacted, there was a lot of fake accounts made. All sorts of shit was going on. Like, they would ask him to prove things, and he would just give like homemade spreadsheets. Go, here you go. Here's all my money. Look, it says I have that money.
There it is.
So anyone can type.
Done deal.
I have $50 million if I type it on paper. Look, Jimmy, here. Look, I'm going to write this. $50 million.
James has got so much money.
Me.
You guys.
There. See?
It's a lot.
Documented.
It's a lot.
That's documentation right there.
You're
$50 million.
You're crushing it, James.
So everybody, if you need a loan or anything, you come to me. I got $50 million now. It's doing well. It's been tough to adjust, but I think I'll get used to it.
Yeah.
So they tracked down a New York lawyer who worked with Dykstra in a bankruptcy case, and this guy was the sole partner listed, this lawyer, on the Home Free System site, and he was surprised to hear that he was listed as a partner of this lawyer.
He had no idea.
He said, maybe in the loose sense of the word, but not in a business way. So maybe I'm his friend, he said, but I'm not on paper responsible for this company's fucking financial misgivings here. So all of these emails show that between Dykstra and these people, they talk about the Porsche, and that Dykstra encouraged the ex-Costa woman by suggesting that he would help her purchase a house. He sent her an email on November 6, 2010 in response to her concerns about who would make the car payments of the Porsche. And he said, come on, Jessica, they call it the top 1% for a fucking reason. I'm rich, is what he's saying here. He concluded by saying, in all capital letters, is a trope of his, everything will be fine, okay? All you have to do is follow these steps and you will be fine. Just finish off what we need with the cars and you and your family will be just fine. Yeah. No punctuation, all capital letters, like a psychopath. Who does that?
No.
Who does that?
The President of the United States on Twitter.
On Twitter, yeah. But even the John Bonet kidnapper note was fucking punctuated and made sense. Yeah. Like, come on. So this Porsche, like we said, was used with her information. The whereabouts of the Porsche end up being unknown. February 16, 2011, the police investigate other car dealerships where Wilberto Hernandez, that Heimer's guy's client, whose information was stolen, his information had been used without his permission. The dealership was in La Crescenta, and they knew Robert Heimer's father. Basically, at this dealer, he was a pastor at that church, Robert Heimer's father, and he would refer people to this car dealer because he knew the owner. Now, the younger Heimers that Lenny knew called the car dealer to get a deal for Lenny. Said, hey, my dad, you know him, give my buddy a deal here. And Lenny would come in and show him that he, wear his World Series ring when he could. Look at me, I'm big and fancy. That would,
I clearly have money.
I clearly have money here. And he would have.
Have you ever seen HBO's documentary?
Come on.
I got money then.
He would bring copies of the Players Club magazine to show. Look how fancy I am. I made 5 copies of a magazine 3 years ago or whatever.
Count the darkies.
Yeah. See, look at that. Spear chuckers, 3 of them. Count them. You see that bitch right there? There's a fucking, what's between her legs? A fucking pussy, not a dick. Good guy.
That's a bitch.
I'm a good guy. Bitch. Good guy. Wow.
Incredible.
Man, so before that, January 12th, Dykstra and Heimers tried to lease a Cadillac DTS and a Mercedes-Benz 550 at the dealership, and that's when they used this Hernandez's personal information. He had a strong credit rating, so they used that. Dykstra and Heimers presented financial information that showed Hernandez as the vice president of Home Free Systems. The dealership was prepared to lease the vehicles before Robert Heimers called the dealership the father to say that Lenny Dykstra was not to be trusted.
Do not mess with that man.
He was in my church for 5 minutes and tried to get me involved in an insurance scam.
Told me that my roof's leaky.
Don't
do it.
No. So, they went to the dealership. They went to another dealership in Pasadena 3 days later, this time trying to get a Cadillac DTS and a Cadillac CTS-V, and again providing Hernandez's address and social security number and claiming he was an executive. He also presented Dykstra did personal financial statements, which were just written down homemade spreadsheets.
CTS-V is like $100,000 car.
Oh yeah, that's
Those
what he's going
insane
for.
Cars.
Yeah, he was going for a 550, an S550 Mercedes, which is $100,000 too. They're fucking super expensive. So he shows these homemade paperwork saying he has a net worth of nearly $3 million, and meanwhile he's in bankruptcy. Right. And again, he's denied. And the dealer manager said that he would not release the vehicles unless Hernandez himself came to sign for him, which makes perfect sense. So they move on to another dealership. dealership, a Ford dealership in North Hills. And this place, it's Galpin Ford, the largest volume Ford dealership in the world.
Yeah, everybody's seen those little badges on the back of a car.
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah. Absolutely. This place here, Dykstra and Heimers get there. He gets another guy involved, a Christopher Gavanis, involved in this. He just moved to L.A. from Pennsylvania. He met Dykstra through Heimers, and he couldn't afford a car to help find him work, but he did have good credit. So Lenny's like, well, we'll get you a car and I'll help you, basically. I'll make payments and shit like that. So this Dykstra promised him the car he needed and for use of his credit. This guy said, I took a gamble because I was so in need of a car. Dykstra seemed trustworthy to make the payments. I know he's got a lot of money. He was a professional player. He's got to have some money, which is what the mistake everybody makes here. That's the problem. So he says he knew Dykstra had plans to make money with Charlie Sheen. He said they've got some video game thing going on, a downloadable app is what he thought. Perfect. So yeah, he's got that. He's hanging out with Sheen. He's got to have money. So Dykstra, Heimers, and this guy go to the Ford dealership, present financial records, including a forged bi-weekly pay stub for Gavanis, showing not only does he have great credit, we pay him $15,000 every 2 weeks.
The guy's making $30,000 a month.
$30,000 a month. Here's his pay stub from my company. They just made it up.
Yeah.
He makes 30 here. See, that's what he does. He was identified as the corporate vice president of Home Free Systems. They walked out with a gray Lincoln MKS, a red Ford Mustang, and a black Ford Flex for Dykstra. Yeah. He got the Flex.
He got the Flex?
He got the Flex somehow. Unfortunately, their general counsel at Galpin Ford is Alan Scobin, who is one of 5 commissioners of the Los Angeles City Police Department. Fucked up bad.
Oh boy.
Wrong place to do this with. And the police officer who investigated this and then came to this conclusion said, quote, they messed with the wrong dealership.
No doubt.
This dude was fucking pissed and wanted his head on a plate as an example for don't fuck with my shit. So he learns of all this. They tell the Scobin guy, and he was eager for it to be pursued. He was on the board of one of the commissioners of the police department. It's kind of like on The Wire when they have the CENTCOM thing and they all have to sit there and tell their stats. The dude's sitting up there, the real important guy's breaking the guy who's standing up there trying to explain himself, breaking their balls. He's one of those guys.
Okay.
So if he wants a guy arrested, someone's getting fucking arrested. Watch The Wire. So Dykstra contacts that dealership again a month later about leasing a new Mercedes, this time sending over a Comerica bank statement which showed an account worth $31,000. This was they ended up getting a search warrant for his bank records, and they said that Comerica account had not been opened until December 7th, and he had a balance of $17.50. So
he just like photoshopped it or something, threw a couple zeros on it.
They figured out that he made the statement on a computer. He literally photoshopped a statement on his own computer.
He's got $17 in the account.
17, yeah, that's
unbelievable.
So he's arrested and charged with bank fraud.
Yeah.
They go to his residence. He's in a guest house of an Encino property that used to belong to Macy Gray, the singer. The black Ford Flex is parked right outside. They arrest him. They arrest Gavanis. All these different people. They when they search Dykstra, they find a metal cylinder containing cocaine as well. Of course, a search of his property also turned up ecstasy. And days later, the owner of the guest house called police to tell them there was drugs in the refrigerator. When the police showed up, he found 4 unopened bottles of serostim, which is a synthetic HGH, a human growth hormone, next to a loaf of bread and a carton of muscle milk. Gross. So this is dinner, apparently here.
Bread and muscle milk.
Yeah, that's it.
This shit.
The boxes trace back to an HIV patient, not Charlie Sheen, who had been acquired them with legitimate prescription, and he said they had been stolen from his home. So Lenny is stealing AIDS patients' fucking human growth hormone. Is there a lower?
Horrible.
Have you hit rock bottom, my friend?
That's disgusting.
They didn't know if they were actually stolen or what. The police, they didn't have any proof of that. So he's charged with bankruptcy fraud now, along with grand theft auto. The shit that he stole out of his house after the bankruptcy estate thing, they said it was $400,000 worth of sports memorabilia, fixtures, and a dresser, is what they said here. He's fucking just done here. Absolutely fucked. He was paid, apparently after he filed for bankruptcy, he was paid cash at an LA consignment store for personal items, including a truckload of furnishings and fixtures he took from the mansion. So that's what he did here. He admitted in bankruptcy hearing to having arranged the sale of sports memorabilia and a dresser that were property of the bankruptcy estate. He also ripped out a $50,000 sink from the home and installed it in his office at the Camarillo airport, which is probably worth more than the whole fucking building. It's probably a tin shed by the airport with a $50,000 sink in it. Jesus, that he washes his balls in.
Gross.
You know he does. Jesus fucking Christ. So they arrest him on the grand theft auto charges also, and he is held on $500,000 bail. It's eventually lowered, and Charlie Sheen bails him out of jail.
No.
Charlie Sheen absolutely bails him out of jail.
Guy.
What a great guy. So I think it was like $24,000 he had to pay. His creditors listings here is what he owes some major people. And there's a shitload more than this. $12.9 million unsecured to the Washington Mutual, which is now Chase. That's the financial crisis took Washington Mutual. $4.2 million unsecured to Bank of America, their credit card units.
Yeah,
credit card units.
$4 million in credit cards?
I don't even know what to say that.
That.
$3.5 million to Rockbridge Bank in Atlanta, $2.5 million to David and Teresa Litt Real Estate Pros in Calabasas, California, $1.5 million to K&L Gates LLP, a Santa Monica law firm. Gates, he spent $1.5 million on fucking Gates, $1.1 million to the United Commercial Bank, $962,000 to private jet companies in New York, Cleveland, and California, and $512,000 to the California State Labor Department's Enforcement Unit. That's a lot of fucking money.
That's too much money.
And then there's a lot of other smaller creditors.
Sure.
The smallest creditor on there is $512,000. So those are just his major ones.
Yeah.
And under the $500,000, he's got tons of people he owes $10,000 here, $20,000 there, hotel bills he hasn't paid, shit like that. So January of 2011, a stripper/porn actress says that he bounced $1,000 check he wrote to her. So
he wrote a bad check.
He
to
wrote
a
a
stripper
bad check
porn actress.
to a prostitute, basically. She came over. Right. I know that's not her usual profession, but that was her.
That was hers for
her
the
duty
night.
that evening. Was that. But I'm not a landscaper, but if I mow my lawn, I'm landscaping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of those things. So she had a blog after that talking about this whole thing. Mm-hmm. She says no illegal or sexual activity occurred during her time with Dykstra because she's not going to put that on the internet.
No, you can't.
She also said she was hired strictly as, quote, his companion to have drinks and conversation with one morning at the Avalon Hotel in L.A. And after the check bounced, she said she researched Lenny Dykstra and found a bunch of old stories from a bunch of women. She says apparently he rips off legitimate and established business people regularly. She's including herself with Ford dealerships in Washington Mutual Bank, which, you know what, she didn't fold in 2008.
Or maybe she's saying, he rips off legitimate people. Why wouldn't he?
That's what I thought.
Off?
Yeah, that's how I took it too. So June 6, 2011, this is when it's going to court for the grand theft auto there that we talked about. They found, like we said, all sorts of shit. He's basically arrested for 25 counts after this. 25 misdemeanor and felony counts, grand theft auto, identity theft, filing false financial statements, possession of cocaine, ecstasy, HGH, you name it. He pleads not guilty to the charges, but later changes his plea to no contest to grand theft auto and providing false financial statements in exchange for dropping the drug charges. So, 2000, that was that. August 25th, 2011, Dykstra is charged with exposing himself to a string of women who answered Craigslist employment ads. Okay, maybe this is rock. But oh no, he's not hiring them. No. He's just having them come over to look at his cock. He's charged.
That's the job that
the cock gazing. No, the job is a personal assistant and massaging.
Right.
He talks
and
about.
They come over and then he goes
and he whips his cock.
What do you think of this thing?
Exactly.
Like, I gotta go.
Have a good one. So that'll get him out of there early.
And they probably show up and they see his cock and they go, "Yeah, I thought that's what this was."
It's about right. It seemed like what it was.
Craigslist. Gotta go.
Yeah.
I guess I should have looked at LinkedIn.
Shit. It's not a good place to find jobs. ZipRecruiter.
I should really be on ZipRecruiter app. This is bullshit.
Using a small-town murder, crime, and sports codes there. He's charged with 2 misdemeanor counts of indecent exposure after they say he exposed himself to 6 women. 6. This is a pattern.
Yeah.
Who answered ads he placed on Craigslist between 2009 and 2011 seeking a housekeeper or personal assistant. He's accused of exposing himself here. Quote, he would inform them that they also needed to give him a massage, and then he would take his clothes off and expose them to him. Yeah, that's part of it, and my cock's going to be out the whole time. So October in 2011, he changes his plea. This is the official. Prosecutors dropped 21 charges. He pleads to Grand Theft Auto and all that shit, financial stuff. 2011 in November, he's in a rehab facility somewhere, and he gives an interview here, and he says... Jesus Christ. He says, quote, there will be a good ending. Just like I knew when I was growing up that I was going to be a Major League Baseball player. But there's work I have to do and a price I'm going to have to pay.
Oh boy, are you.
So no concept of he's sitting in a rehab awaiting jail time, and he's like, this is going to be good, I think. This is the beginning of a glorious road that I'm going to follow in my life.
Yeah.
No concept of failure. So March 5th, 2012, he tried to withdraw his no contest plea, and he has a rambling and impassioned plea for probation because they're going to sentence him here. He says he's tried to make amends for his past transgressions, and his motion to withdraw his plea, had it been granted, he would have been cleared of all wrongdoing. But they won't let him withdraw his plea, so he's got to say he's guilty. He said, quote, I'm doing everything in my power to be a better person.
Yeah.
Just everything here. He said he's got nearly a year's worth of credit served toward his sentence that's coming up, and he is sentenced to, you sir may fuck off 3 years in state prison for him, with a year's credit for time served, which is not terrible there. They said his lawyer said that he was singled out because he's a celebrity.
No.
That's it.
He got singled out because he's fucking up. He's doing criminal shit.
His lawyer says, no way this wasn't a probationary case. To give him state prison is outrageous. I find it disgusting.
Oh, well.
Well, he didn't take your financial information and try to buy fucking cars with it, so maybe you'd feel differently.
Yeah.
Now, 2012 is the Craigslist shit here. He pleads no contest to charges of lewd conduct and assault later on. The prosecutor said that, like we said, the job interviews type thing. One particular woman, though, in July 2010 said that he held a knife to her and forced her to massage his body.
Wow.
That's what she said. So he ends up having to plead to assault with a deadly weapon as well, out of this. So that came up right at the end.
But no sex crime.
Well, yeah, 2 misdemeanor counts. No contest to lewd conduct and assault with a deadly weapon. So yeah, he's not going to have to be a registered sex offender or anything. So he'll only have to serve 90 days in jail for that.
Wow.
Yeah, not whatever, and 3 years probation.
It's funny that these lawyers will bitch when they get a stiff sentence. What they deem there's never a time that a lawyer comes out and goes, we won today, and it's because he's a celebrity.
It's because he's a celebrity.
We did really great today, and it's because he's Lenny Dykstra.
Luckily, he's well known.
Thank Christ that lawyer the judge just wanted an autograph.
The money, the notoriety, the lawyers, it all helps. Really,
it really
really helps.
Really came through on this one.
No shit. He's ordered also 3 years probation. He's ordered to stay away from the 5 victims and told not to solicit on Craigslist or any other social network. He's banned from Craigslist. That's fucking sad.
You got to be gross for that.
Yeah, this is also going to run concurrent, though, with his Grand Theft Auto, so it doesn't matter. Here, basically, they sent out a statement saying all this, and so, yeah, it doesn't matter here. Later in 2012, he pleads no contest to some other shit here. We'll talk about this in a second. The bankruptcy fraud court. He admits to bankruptcy fraud. He admits to lying. He admits to selling shit. He admits that there's at least 10 creditors who were victims of his crimes, and each victim lost between $200,000 and $400,000. He admitted to $400,000 worth of fixtures, including chandeliers, mirrors, a stove, and a grandfather clock from the mansion, and secretly selling them. He also accused of secretly selling $15,000 of his own memorabilia, including baseballs, gloves, and bats. So this one, they give him another 3 years for this. But this is also concurrent with the Grand Theft Auto. So he's got 3 years with a year time served, basically. July 2013, he's released from prison, served 6.5 months. So that's half of your time, half of 3 years. He's going to be required to do 3 years of probation, including 500 hours of community service, must enroll in substance abuse, and submit to drug testing and pay $200,000 to creditors, which isn't bad when you owe $30 million.
It's pretty great.
It's not too fucking bad.
It's a sweet deal.
Yeah, he said that he completed his 500 hours of community service. He served meals to homeless people and helped in the thrift store and asked the Phillies to send memorabilia for an auction. One of the guys the general manager of the mission, said he was extremely motivated from the start because he's hyper. He's going to do whatever he's doing. He got around. He said that my life for the past year, this is when he's been out for a year, has been my son's community service. And don't forget peeing in that cup.
Oh, yeah.
So he's been peeing in the cup. His wife, he's 2 years of probation left after a year, drug tested every week to that point. He's living with his ex-wife, who says she has no plans to remarry him.
Gross.
She says, quote, he's definitely been humbled. He's definitely learned what's important. He's still Lenny with that headstrong personality, but he has changed in that he knows what he lost and why that happened. Family comes first to me, and Lenny was always good to me, but for a long time I couldn't reason with him. He wouldn't listen. He was his own worst enemy. And what does he say about?
Yeah, what does he say?
They say, what's going on with you, Lenny? And he says, quote, I'm 445-1.
What?
They said, what's that? And they're talking about his new business venture. He said, I'm building a business because it's what a man does. Then he says that he says he read his first book in prison. First book ever in prison. We talked about that last time. He said, quote, I became addicted to money. Money was my drug, and a few other ones too, but whatever. This is a pretty entertaining interview, isn't it? This is what he's saying to somebody. He says, though, he has 445-1 in his record of stock success. He says that he's preparing a marketing campaign that includes a letter from the Securities and Exchange Commission that believed he would defeat any skeptics. He said, quote, the SEC investigated me and they were going to put me in jail. I was 110-0, and everybody thought I was doing what I was doing was bull. It was crazy, man. The investigator tried hard but couldn't punch any holes in it. I'm bulletproof. I'm on federal probation. I can't lie that I'm 445-1. I'm 445-1. So, yeah, that's what he's saying. He's humbled, is what he's saying. He's very humbled.
He's definitely been shown how far he's fallen. He's seen it. He understands.
He gets it.
And it's time to now climb back up.
Yeah. April 2014, he finishes his probation and also his drug testing. I guess they let him off early for some reason. Living with Terry, like we said, still. 2014, his son Luke is drafted by the Atlanta Braves in the 7th round of the MLB draft.
Right.
Not too shabby there. So 2 kids. June 2014, there's a biopic in the works, a film about him, not a documentary, a scripted film.
An actual, feature-length film.
That is going to be directed by the guy who directed The Blind Side.
Wow.
Yeah, huge major picture here.
Are they going to put all this in it?
I would fucking hope so here. They were going to get together and do a movie on him, and that ended up not happening, obviously. So, 2015, Dykstra is accused of stealing $50,000 in jewelry from Brett Rossi, who's a porn star who was engaged to Charlie Sheen.
Perfect.
So he's
raiding his house.
Apparently, she told TMZ that Dykstra offered to help her sell jewelry, and then he just kept everything except for a pair of diamond earrings. Yeah. And she said the earrings she got back were fake. So he stole all her jewelry.
Handed over some CZs.
Gave her some shit he got from JCPenney. And went on her way.
And like, there you go. That's the one.
Scamming porn stars. Wow. October 2015, Lenny says he spent $500,000. This is when he comes out saying he used to spy on Major League umpires. He said that he would, including affairs and gay sex and shit like that. He said that he would basically, their blood's just as red as ours. Some of them like women, some of them like men, some of them gamble, some of them do whatever.
Yep.
So he said it wasn't a coincidence that I led the league in walks for the next few years, was it? That he did all this. He says, fear does a lot to a man. He talked about like, hey, how'd you have a good time at some gay bar last night? And the ump would be like, huh? And the next thing you know, he'd get all the calls.
Oh, wow.
That's what he said.
Blackmail.
That's his claim. Who the fuck knows? November 2015, he says he has brain damage.
Okay.
Which I fucking wholeheartedly believe.
I think that's very obvious.
The first thing in this entire episode he said that I believe
that's true.
is I have brain damage.
We know.
That explains it. Perfect. He says he received the brain damage not from running into walls head first or colliding with teammates at full speed at the hands of corrupt cops during his stint in the LA County Jail.
No.
He wants $15 million from the county of Los Angeles here. He says one of the deputies was whistling "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" while he beat him within inches of his life. He said that he claims deputies pulled him out of his cell and beat him so badly that his teeth were broken out of his skull.
Wow.
Yep. He says that the deputies didn't like him and made it their mission to kick his ass. He said as a result of the beatings, he fears he has brain damage and worries that, quote, his head is not entirely well, which is, you don't have to worry that.
Nailed it.
Your head is definitely not entirely well. Yeah. Nailed it is right. He also says he's without teeth and he has eating problems, and he says that he believes the attack was captured on video, but feels that they was probably destroyed later on, and they had no comment. Nothing ever came of that. June of 2016. This is after our last episode here. Wow, what a fucking mess here. June of 2016, he says that he's on Howard Stern, and he says that he's now a gigolo for elderly women. He said, I thought God put me on earth to entertain people on the baseball field, but he actually put me on earth to pleasure women. I'm like Picasso. He says that he has several elderly clients that pay him for companionship and romantic dinner dates. He says that most of the older women, it's more about intimacy than sex. He says, quote, their bones are brittle. So, he can't tag them.
Oh, boy.
Howard said, would you have sex with a woman who, an older woman? And he said, if they paid me, it's my duty. Yeah. He says, we're talking about Gray Bush here.
Oh, boy.
So this is...
we know. Why do you have to say it like that?
He said there are 3 grannies that he provides companionship to. He said, quote, it's 15 dimes a pop with these Beverly Hills widows. It's kind of hard to say no.
Is that 15
I think he's saying that these women are paying him $15,000 to have sex with them.
No. There's no way that's possible.
Well, if it was, you'd be having sex with old ladies in Beverly Hills all over the place.
I'd never see you again.
You'd just be in Beverly Hills making too much money.
I'm so sorry, James. I hope you enjoy the podcast.
I'm fucking my way through the hills.
I'm fucking my way to retirement by next year.
But yeah, through Rodeo Drive.
I'm doing this twice a day.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah, he said this whole shit here, man. He said that he told Howard Stern that plane became my drug. His private plane. He said, for instance, you're sitting around in your hotel suite, fucking bored, saying, where do you want to go? I spun the globe and wanted to go to Monaco. I was trying to tap that Princess Stephanie. I just wanted some royalty on the belt.
God, that's the grossest.
He's such a fucking scumbag.
Why does he think that people believe this?
He's fucking ridiculous, man. He also went on Dan Patrick's show and said, he's talking about old times, and he said all about steroids, and he said, he's a small guy. He had to take steroids.
Dan Patrick is a huge Howard Stern fan. I guarantee he heard the interview and is like, get him fucking tomorrow.
This is going to be great.
Right now.
Yeah.
He's still in New York.
He talked about Rebound Finance, his new venture.
Yeah.
He says, quote, hard work and hustle took me from an underdog to world champion and multi-millionaire entrepreneur who just got out of jail and had to pee in a cup. Pee in a cup for a fucking state employee. My life also knocked me down. I know better than anyone that no matter how much success you've had, sometimes good people need a second chance. So he's going to help you rebound. And then his book comes out, House of Nails, which after our last episode, it wasn't out yet. He talks about how partying was his full-time job, talking about rehab facilities. He talks about Charlie Sheen and several other people. He said that he was in Promises, which is rehab in Malibu that you hear a lot about, the celebrities going to. He said a lot of actors and celebrities were there, and Charlie Sheen was there. And he said that he was the low man on the totem pole, Lenny was, as far as fame goes there. Okay. A lot of famous people. He said Charlie walked up to him and said, hey, man, I know what you're feeling. I was just like you. I felt the same way, but you should try to stick it out. So he said, Jesus Christ, man. This is, he said, cut to, this is in the book, fast forward to 2014. That's the last time, I guess, he was hanging out with Charlie on a Friday afternoon around 5 p.m. He said he receives a phone call from a woman who's crying hysterically. And he said, who is this? And she said, it's Scottine. Scottine? I'm Charlie's fiance. I said, okay, why are you crying? She said that Charlie was smoking crack and that he'd been holed up in his room for 9 straight days. She said he told her to leave and stop ruining his buzz, which sounds exactly like Charlie Sheen. I'm smoking crack. Stop ruining my fucking buzz. He's not even embarrassed. He's like, I'm trying to catch a buzz in here. You're fucking it up. He said, why are you calling me about this? She said, quote, because everyone told me you're the only person that Charlie will listen to who has the balls to stop him. He says, when I pulled up, she was waiting in one of the Mercedes Charlie owned. She was obviously shaken up. I said, get me through the gates. I'll take care of it. She said, you will never find him. I responded, what are you talking about? I've been to Charlie's house thousands of times. She said, nobody knows about this room. It's in the master bedroom, but it's behind a bookcase and you have to punch a code to get in. I need that so fucking bad.
That is rad.
That's awesome. That sounds
He's
like
got a crack den with a fucking like a nuclear football.
Yeah, I want that so bad. I'm not going to smoke crack in there, but I'll just sit in there.
That is awesome.
Eat ice cream.
Just
and
be away from everybody.
That's tremendous. That's like Nikki Sixx's heroin den, but he had no nothing.
He didn't have a code. He just had a lock.
Yeah, he said. So Lenny said, "Okay, you'll have to walk me up the stairs and with me and punch in the code, and I'll handle it from there." As she's walking up to the bedroom, one of Charlie's security guards. He's got security guards.
Yeah.
That's smoking crack with class. Stand outside that door so I don't have to be paranoid on crack. No, you don't have to be paranoid. You got security guards. That's tremendous. This guy stopped and said, quote, you're not allowed up there. Charlie gave us strict orders that nobody's allowed in the house. He said, I fired back. Fuck you. The only way you're going to stop me is to shoot me. You fucking people are as bad as the drug dealer. So call the cops or shoot me in the back, but I'm going to save my friend's life because Lenny's... Yeah.
He's treating this like Platoon.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go get him. I'm getting him out.
I'm going to pull Charlie out.
Yeah, that's it. And he said, well, you'd be shoving him in.
Right.
Or Charlie Sheen. This Charlie Sheen. Well, you said Vietnam and Charlie.
It's so confusing.
It's very confusing. He said the room was out of a Hitchcock movie, sliding bookcase and all. He said he felt like a character in a mystery spy thriller. He walked in and Charlie was standing there with a crack pipe in one hand and his phone in the other, obviously surprised to see me. I took one look around and I said, Charlie, I have to admit, if you're going to smoke crack, this has to be the best crack room on the planet, which that is true.
Charlie, this is impressive.
I don't want you to smoke crack, but wow, this is a great crack smoking room.
I have an insurance guy that would love to talk to you.
You smell mold?
Do you smell mold?
I smell crack. No, but beyond the crack, I smell a little mold. He said it was unbelievable. A theater, Babe Ruth's ring, Cincinnati Reds jerseys, and some of the coolest paintings I've ever seen. Charlie Sheen's a huge sports fan, huge baseball fan. All fucking amazing. After breaking the ice, I got serious with Charlie. I said, is this it? Is this what you've worked your whole life for? Charlie, do you realize what you have been in this room for 9 straight days? What the fuck kind of life is this? Holed up in a room smoking crack by yourself. I told him, you remember that show you own, Anger Management? Today is Friday and you have to be at work on Monday. Give me all the drugs. I'm flushing them down the toilet. He said, Charlie, you have to go to sleep. What are you doing? Where do you keep your sleeping shit? Which, sleeping pills. Mm-hmm. He said he pulled out a drawer and got Valium. He said, take 2 and go to sleep. I'll call tomorrow and check on you. And he said that Charlie said, wait, can you do me a favor? I said, sure. What do you need? He said, I need you to stay at the house because if you don't, I'll order more shit. So he needs Lenny Dykstra to ground him, he's saying here. He said the next 4 days, Charlie went dark. I checked on him every few hours and would bring him a pizza when he would get hungry. He told me that's all he wanted to eat was pizza. When he decided to come downstairs, he immediately started drinking anything and everything. He had one goal: to escape reality. But what I witnessed was a guy who was on a mission to check out permanently. So he talks about all this shit, how Charlie Sheen's trying to kill himself and all this crazy shit. Then he goes on later on. He says Charlie Sheen wanted to talk to him, and he said, sure, what's up, bro? You all right? And he said he came over to the couch I was sitting on and sat next to me on the left. And I said, dude, what's going on? Talk to me. And Charlie leaned forward and said, I got the HIV. Yeah. That's the end of his Charlie Sheen chapter.
And he never wants to see that guy again.
I got the HIV.
So now I don't hang out with Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, so there's that.
Now, could you not say that so close to me, Charlie? Don't breathe on me.
Jesus Christ, man. He said that he would hang out with Jack Nicholson, and Jack Nicholson would fucking hang out with him and shit like that. And he called Jack Nicholson his wingman. He talked.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, come on.
You're the wingman. Maybe the shrapnel guy.
Yeah,
at best,
you're catching.
You are not a wingman.
Stray, if anything else.
Oh boy.
So then he talks about Mickey Rourke.
He wants to just hang out with cocksmen.
That's it.
That's all it is.
Jack Nicholson, Charlie Sheen, Mickey Rourke. These are the famous cocksmen of Hollywood. All three of these guys.
He's such a dick.
His next chapter's on Wilt Chamberlain.
Right.
It's fucking ridiculous. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain, I can fuck more women than him. He said he started hanging out with Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
And he
Ethan
said
Hawke and all these guys.
Oh, yeah. This is, he said Mickey Rourke was down and out at the time, and because Mickey Rourke's career took a big shit before the wrestling.
Mickey's face or Mickey's
both.
career?
He was done. He said that they shared a $3,000 a night bungalow that he rented in Beverly Hills Hotel. He said Mickey always wore a stupid scarf and carried that little fucking dog with him everywhere.
He does.
Which he still does.
Yeah.
He said they went on a 10-day run of partying. Mickey and his crew of people, he said they were bottom feeders who clung on to him like shit on a shoe. He said they were all hitting the cocaine nonstop. He said he was supposed to have checked in at rehab, Lenny was, and he was getting calls from their staff every fucking day going, "Where are you?" And he kept telling them, "Don't worry, I'll be there." So he said he was hitting the booze and cocaine hard, and then finally on the 10th day, he looked in the mirror and felt like shit about himself. He said, "Wow, this is fucking bad." He said, "I look like the crypt keeper from Tales from the Crypt. This is an all-time low." He said, "I need to get the fuck out of here." He told Mickey Rourke, "I'm all done. Roll it up, man. I got to go check in the Promises." And he said he checked out of the hotel. The bill must have been $300,000. 300. Were they there for 100 days?
Yeah, you were
They'd
there
have to be there for 100 days.
Almost 4 months?
Yeah, 100 days of crack smoking and coke doing. Wow, he says
that'll make anybody go, "You know what? I'm going to go to rehab. This is enough."
This is plenty. It's cheaper than this.
Yeah.
He said, and it wasn't just me and Rourke's bill. We had our monkeys and a group of chicks who our monkeys. I think those are like their friends and people who go get them drugs and shit. And a group of chicks who ate and drank like there was no tomorrow. Okay, and they put it all on my tab, and I didn't give a flying fuck. So he said he went and got a limo and took a group of took my group of freeloaders with me to Promises. There was some shit left, so I parked in my limo in the front of Promises right outside the gate and told my driver, "I got to go in there and dry out. But when I go inside, I'm going in like a ball of flames. Let's finish this shit up." And so he said that limo was parked out there for 5 days. It was me and the driver and a bunch of women. After long nights of nonstop partying, we finished everything we had. Finally, the last line of coke was snorted. I walked up to the Promises gate and pounded on it.
It felt like 5 days.
Yeah, it was probably 15 minutes.
Right. We had some shit left for 5 days. The back seat would have to be full.
Yeah, that's
for your monkeys and your girls to all be partying
for 5 days.
People would have to shit and piss.
Where's your food?
What
yeah,
are you talking about?
Can we go in and piss in the rehab center? Davey Johnson, the manager of the '86 Mets who won the World Series, Lenny said of him, quote, "He was drunk every night and frequently hungover, just enough the next day to not know what was going on. That, and he was probably the worst communicator I've ever been associated with in baseball." And Ron Darling said, "Lenny's a different kind of guy, and I've had my own comments about Davey, but I think these are absolutely below the belt about Davey." He says, "All Davey has to say is look at the record, look at my record, one of the best of all time." So, in this book, he also said that he hung out with Robert De Niro. He said in another one of his 30-day jaunts here, he said he was supposed to be in yet another rehab. He ended up in St. Bart's. Mm-hmm. And he said he was drinking a banana daiquiri when he said, there was the raging bull himself sitting at the next table. One thing led to another, and next thing I knew, we were in a bathroom of his suite, and it was powder fucking city. He says that De Niro, the guy was a pro, dipping his finger in the coke and numbing his gums. I don't think he knew who the hell I was. I could tell he wasn't a sports guy, but he sure liked hitting the slopes with me. He said, the next thing I know, De Niro took half my blow. We went back to the restaurant, and he sent over $1,000 bottle of wine. He did this 3 nights in a row. A couple of years later, I ran into De Niro at a restaurant in Tribeca and went up to him and said, hey, remember me? And he gave me a look like I was an ugly redheaded stepchild. Celebrities, man. That's what he says here. Robert De Niro responded to that by saying he's full of shit.
Yeah.
So that's all he had to say. That's it. Mickey Rourke's Mickey Rourke says he doesn't like that Lenny says he owes him $30,000 for the room. So he said about Lenny, you know what, dude, we need to fucking get it. Or Lenny says about him, you know what, dude, we need to fucking get it on mano a mano. And Mickey says that next time he sees Dykstra, he's going to bash his fucking face in on sight. Mm-hmm. So that's that. Mm-hmm. So
I believe him.
He's fucked over everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a family.
He does.
He's got a wife.
He's got kids.
He's
got kids that see this.
I feel bad for all these people, man, but not nearly as bad as I feel for Len Dykstra, a social worker at Niagara North Family Health Team in Toronto, Canada. Here, Len Dykstra, a retired music teacher from Ontario, Canada, Northern Ontario. Those are the only two I could really find. So, also in July of 2016, he still owes $150,000 in restitution from his bankruptcy case. And according to this, he has to repay the restitution because of the fraud. And the government is demanding that Lenny's book publisher fork over all the money he makes off of House of Nails because it became a bestseller quickly.
How about that?
And he said until they're square, he said, he was obviously trying not to.
Right.
Now, he's getting sued about a week after that. Noah Scheinman of No Regrets Entertainment claims Dykstra hired him in May to promote his House of Nails memoir, and that things were going so well. Dykstra praised him in emails, and he had these saying he was the driving force behind his brand and blah, blah, blah. The mastermind behind Dykstra's success on Twitter, because he's his ghostwriter. Here, this guy is. And Dykstra fired him so he could secure all the rewards of the book for himself, and didn't pay him $76,000 he's owed. So he's also a cut of a Live Nation performance by Dykstra. There. We all know about that.
Yeah,
so
that's familiar.
June 2017, he says, they interview him and he goes, my first chapter couldn't have gone better about his life. The big leagues and the money. Mm-hmm. The second chapter, that was a little rough.
Sort of slipping.
My third chapter hasn't been written yet, though.
Wait.
I still haven't decided what my epitaph is going to be.
Hold on.
No concept of failure. What part of no concept of failure haven't we gotten through here?
I thought you were talking about, like...
No, his book? No, his life.
That's his life. He's talking about baseball was his first chapter.
Second,
then everything after
rocky.
Is a little rocky.
Now it's good. This is the third act where he becomes the hero.
The part where he fucking lost everything is a little rocky?
A little rocky. Slightly rocky.
Holy shit.
So, right after that, August... Amazing, isn't it?
I am such a success by Lenny Dykstra.
Isn't it amazing? You just say it and write it down. See, 50 million. Me.
You're crushing it.
Hold on, wait. I just circled it. Now it's 100 million. Look at how quick that goes. August 2017, he's accused by a former Fox News guest, a person who had accused both Lenny and a Fox News host of sexual harassment here. So she is, March 20th, 2011, she says, Lenny Dykstra persistently asked me to, quote, party, and told me that he gets sexually aroused when I talk politics.
Yeah.
He also harassed the makeup artist who was curling my hair at the time. He did this in the fucking makeup room. She said that Dykstra, quote, seemed high during the encounter, and that her and the makeup artist both refused Dykstra's offer, and that the star grabbed her by the wrist and said inappropriate comments about women were normal for him. Like, listen, I say bitch and spear chucker, okay? Just to let you know. So then she said, quote, I'm a trained martial artist, and it took a lot of self-control not to respond to his physical violence of any kind. Instead, I broke the wrist grab and told him to leave. He said, Mr. Dykstra is absolutely wrong, that my coming forward is about getting attention. This is about using my voice to stand up on the behalf of women and men who have faced similar circumstances. So he didn't go on Fox News anymore after that. And he says about it, they ask her, he says, quote, she's just one of many, dude. She got to get on the space shuttle. That's what he said.
That is not something you say.
And he said that he does admit that he found political talk from attractive women sexually arousing. He says, I do get turned on by that.
Who knows? I could have said a lot of things.
Yeah, this whole thing here. So August of 2017, he is checked into a hotel in the Hamptons, Southampton in New York, there on Long Island, for 2 nights with a young brunette. Guests complain about noise and the smell of weed smoke. Yeah. He's here. He says he didn't use drugs or anything like that. This is a $1,500 a night hotel, this sort of place here. The owner of the hotel said, quote, you could smell the marijuana smoke throughout the hotel. They were ordering a big bucket of ice and extra towels every few hours. At 3 a.m., Lenny called down and my brother went to the room, knocked, and he was invited in by the girl who was fully naked. So, the Hamptons here, this whole thing. When Lenny left, there were open bottles of vodka and Jack Daniels, stuff everywhere. The cleaner saw drug baggies. She saw the worst room she's ever seen. He left a suitcase and a bag behind and a note to ship them to his home, but there were no sheets, pillowcases, or towels left in the room. So, this guy called Dykstra's friends who knew something to open his suitcase, who were still at the hotel. They opened his suitcase. It had 14 towels, pillowcases, and bed sheets.
He took the bed sheets.
He fucking stripped the beds. And in a laundry bag were 10 pairs of ladies' shoes, a weed pipe, and the hotel soap dish.
What a weirdo.
What a fucking weirdo.
That is such a strange pilfering.
Yeah, he also says on the way out, he also stole my receptionist's sunglasses. Yeah. We have it on video.
And 11 pens with our hotel name
I was
on
like,
it.
what? He denied. He said, what? No, I didn't steal anything. The stuff is still at the hotel. There was no maid service. Towels and sheets were piling up, so I put them all in a laundry bag for them. And then put my address on it and told them to ship them to him. I did them a favor and they call it stealing? This is ridiculous. I was doing drugs? Absolutely not. Wow. He also said nobody took anybody's glasses about the sunglasses. They're saying that the room got trashed like Keith Richards. It's all lies. About that naked woman, I might have had 10 women in the room that night. Might have had 15, might have had 20. Actually, the only thing I had in that room was my dick in my hand.
Wow.
So he denies all of that. He says, it's all lies.
Yeah.
That's his quote. They said, though, this is a normal thing for him. An old friend of his says back in the day, room repairs after hotel checkouts were often in the six figures. A $28,000 repair bill at the Four Seasons. It's Motley Crue type behavior here. And he says, that's bullshit. He said, quote, are you kidding me? I am a hotel dream. I stay at the St. Regis more than any place. I should be guest of the year. I should be guest of the year.
St. Regis.
What? Is she the only person with Ray-Ban sunglasses? Those are mine. He said the sunglasses of the receptionist were actually his.
To her.
So at this point, yeah, he's out there sitting in I don't even know where, brooding. I'm going to say, where is he? He's out somewhere at a bar, sitting at the bar by himself, brooding.
Yeah.
I'd say there's nowhere else he could be. Nowhere else he could be. And he just doesn't know what to do with himself, but he thinks everything's fine until we walk in. That's right. James and Jimmie walk in and we say, how is it you've come to arrive here? You dumb motherfucker.
Fuck is wrong with you?
What is you stupid First of all, you said spear chucker to an employee?
How could you?
How fucking dumb are you? I guarantee you, your little stubby dick is not impressive enough to be showing people, you dumb bastard. Don't be whipping that out at Craigslist. The fuck is wrong with you? You're a World Series champion.
Played for the Phillies.
Jesus.
You played for them. People know who you are.
They know you, Lenny. When you do stupid shit, they go, hey, look, there's Lenny Dykstra doing stupid shit. Not there's a guy.
Holy Christ.
You dumb fuck. Poof, in a poof of weed smoke and giggling and headphones. We're gone. But we needed to talk to him because nobody else we've had to come back for a second fucking angle on here.
Unbelievable.
So, then there was the whole thing with Lena Dunham saying he wanted to fuck Lena Dunham, remember?
Yeah.
And back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into all
That's
that. Who gives a shit? February 2018. This is better, by the way. February 2018, he accuses Charlie Sheen of murder. So this is a little more juicy than Lena Dunham. Sorry, Lena Dunham, but nobody cares about
Who is he? The guy from InfoWars?
This is amazing. This is Alex
awesome.
Jones. Charlie Sheen killed a woman. He's just doing Mad Libs on shit. Not a woman, a man.
Yeah.
He says that he met back up with Charlie Sheen when he got out of prison in 2013, and he asked about the death of Rick Calamaro, who was, I guess, Lenny's personal assistant, and he overdosed in 2012. And he said after he got out of jail, he did this, and he said, what the fuck happened to Calamaro? And Charlie said, quote, you mean dead Rick? What fucking happened is the motherfucker tried to blackmail me just like you said, wanted $5 million. I had him fucking iced. He said that he had a hot dose put in there. like on The Wire, when Avon's in prison and he gets everybody killed and no one wants to, never mind. So, whatever. So, he basically gave the guy overdose on purpose is what he's saying that this guy said.
That's what he said Charlie said.
He doesn't have any evidence or anything. Charlie's lawyers denied the claims, calling it disturbing, vile, and outright ridiculous, they said. And if Sheen was going to kill anybody, if he did such a thing, he's not going to tell Lenny Dykstra, is what they said. It's
that's the last fucking guy I'm telling anything. Apart from get your shit together, Lenny.
What does he want out of Charlie Sheen? Why is he doing this? Well, Lenny says he wants to make a movie about Charlie Sheen.
Oh God!
He said there are so many people to interview, from prison guards to my private plane pilots to pussy. Everybody doesn't even call them women; he just calls them pussy.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! He said Charlie is getting what he deserves. Okay? He bailed you out of jail one time.
The man has HIV. Let him
Leave him alone.
He's already fucked up enough.
Fuck, man. 2000. Pick on Emilio. One leaves him alone just fine. Never gets. Pick on him. What's he doing? Hey, Emilio's like, I'm just in my house, man. Just leave me alone.
Poor Emilio.
2018, a friend arranges with a dentist fan of Lenny Dykstra to make him dentures so he can finally eat properly. These are deluxe dentures for free. They're made from bone marrow or with bone marrow, and they're valued at $80,000. Some expensive teeth. April of 2018, Wayne Gretzky buys his old house back, by the way. Yeah, he got his old house back. He sold it to Lenny for $18.5 million, buys it back 10 years later or 15 years later for $13.5 million.
How about that?
So made a handsome $5 million.
Yeah.
He's in the same house now with $5 million more dollars. Great. So that's not bad there. May 23rd, 2018, 3 o'clock in the morning, Lenny's in an Uber.
Yeah.
He's picked up by an Uber at Crescent Circle in Linden, New Jersey, and he's supposed to be dropped off in Clark, New Jersey. As they pull away, though, he tells the driver he changed his mind. He wants to go to Staten Island. The driver says that in order to change his destination, it had to be changed on his phone. It has to go through the pool. Right. It's not how it works, basically. It's not in a cab. Lenny then, he says, placed a black pill bag with an object in it that the driver believed to be a gun to the driver's head. And he said, quote, "Take me to Staten Island or I'll blow your fucking head off," to the Uber driver. So, that's
the phrase he said to somebody.
Take me to Staten Island or I'll blow your fucking head off, which has not been said since the Wu-Tang Clan, I would assume, said it at some point to somebody.
Inspector
Other than that, he definitely said that. The genius absolutely said, take me to Staten Island, I'll blow your fucking head off. So anyway, he's, the driver said he was in fear for his life and he believed Dykstra would kill him.
Yeah.
Because he's a crazy person.
And he just said it.
Yeah. So the driver drove away and pulled up instead in front of the Linden Police Department and exited the vehicle, quote, screaming for help, according to the police report.
Brilliant.
He claimed Dykstra had a gun. The officers responded by patting him down, and Dykstra claimed he had no gun, and in fact, the driver had kidnapped him. He just wanted to ride, and the driver just took him on you kidnap someone, then take him to the police station? Right. That's a weird tale. He said that Dykstra attempted to walk toward the vehicle, but the officer had his hand in Dykstra's chest, told him to relax. Yeah. Dykstra then said he allowed the police officers to search his bag. He said, "I'll show you everything I have. Look through my bag." So the officer approached, and then Dykstra took his consent away.
Yeah.
And said, no, you can't look through my shit.
You can look at all this shit except for, this has a gun in it.
And they said, well, he said you have a gun, so we're going to look through it anyway. Yeah. It's probable cause here. So they searched the bags, and they say they found a pill bottle containing weed, a glass pipe with weed in it, and also a straw with cocaine residue in it they found, and 2 pills that were turned out to be MDMA, and a baggie containing weed and a clear vial containing cocaine.
Why does he have money for drugs?
Search my bag. No, don't search my bag. Never mind. He's given his Miranda warnings. The officer noted that, quote, "Lenny did not seem to be fully awake and did not provide comprehensible responses. At that point, Lenny vaguely stated to me that he did not want to speak to me." I don't want to talk to you anymore. So that's what happened. He's charged with 3rd-degree making terroristic threats, 3rd-degree charges for possession of cocaine and MDMA, and disorderly persons charges for possession of marijuana and drug paraphernalia. That's just a traffic ticket. He's released and summoned and blah, blah, blah. The next day, he takes to Twitter to respond to the allegations and to quote Taylor Swift lyrics.
He listens to Taylor Swift?
He literally
shake it off?
He quoted what did he say? The whole, I'm not going to get into the verse. We don't have time. But he quoted like a verse of Shake It Off.
It is Shake It Off.
Oh, it's Shake It Off. He said, but I keep cruising, can't stop, won't stop moving.
That's the one.
It's like I got this music in my mind saying it's going to be all right.
Nailed
That's
it.
what he fucking posted. Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know what to say about this.
You played in the World Series.
Then he
won it.
The driver said he took him hostage and took him on a ride, and he said, quote, the guy went nuclear on me. He said he kidnapped him, locked him inside the vehicle, and drove 100 miles an hour.
There is nobody that's like Charlie Sheen, like
Why?
Lenny.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Lenny has Charlie inside him.
Oh,
that is amazing.
Those two are a great team.
Anything he says, you could put it in Charlie Sheen's mouth, and it would sound like Charlie said it.
Yeah.
It's
incredible.
Absolutely.
It's the same guy.
Wow.
It's amazing. He said he bought a house at this point in Linden, New Jersey, not far from the Newark airport. He says he's going to flip it, though. He's been doing renovation and putting it on social media. He said, quote, I didn't buy it because I wanted to live in Linden, fucking New Jersey. In fact, I think New Jersey might be the worst state of all 50. I'll go on the record on that. I just don't like it.
Charlie Sheen would say that.
And I would say, you're right, sir. I believe you're correct. So it's not worse than Alabama or Florida. It's not.
I to live in fucking Linden, New Jersey.
Fucking Linden, New Jersey. So he said that, Jesus Christ. He said he wanted to go to Staten Island on the night of his Uber arrest. He was going to buy granite for his countertops in the middle of the night at 3:30 in the morning. He said, my guy's an early riser, so I was going to have breakfast with him at 5 o'clock before we go to the yard.
I was going to the quarry of the we were going to go chisel it out ourselves.
Jesus Christ, man. This is fucking crazy. Oh, and the next day after this, Philadelphia announces that he is uninvited to their 25th anniversary 1993 National League Championship gathering the next day.
He should be.
In the interest of keeping the focus on the entire 1993 team rather than on one individual, the Phillies have made the decision not to include Lenny Dykstra in the activities taking place to honor the 25th anniversary.
Pretty solid move.
We believe his presence could distract from the celebration of this beloved team. And how's he going to get here is the other thing.
Right.
He can't,
he can't Uber.
He can't Uber at all. So June of 2018, he holds a press conference about the Uber incident. He says, quote, I was in fear of my life.
Yeah.
In fear of my life. He's got a Mets hat on, and they're like, let me put something else on. Get him a plain hat. Just get him a plain hat. He said, I mean, they don't call me Nails because I'm like, soft. I mean, look, I was literally in fear of my life, and I called 911, and I was screaming that this man is crazy, and he'd kidnapped me. His lawyer shows phone records at the press conference that seemed to, who knows if he wrote them himself, seemed to show that he called 911, but their authenticity could not be verified. That morning, Lenny Dykstra was the victim, his lawyer said. Lenny was a victim. He was entrapped, falsely imprisoned, kidnapped, and held hostage in the back of an Uber trying to get out. He couldn't get out. So his lawyers filed a false imprisonment charge against the driver. So take that, mister.
They got him?
They filed they filed charges.
Yeah.
That's right. Uber said, quote, what's been detailed has no place on our app, and we are reviewing the matter. At the time, both the driver and Lenny are both banned from Uber.
Both.
So the
they
driver
fired him. Oh, that's fucked up.
That's fucked up, right? Yeah. That's
shitty.
So shitty, man. June of 2018 here, police body cam footage here surfaces of the arrest. It's pretty fucking funny because it's Dykstra like, what the fuck in the sidewalk? What's going on? He's like, he went crazy. I don't even have a fucking gun. He says, dude, I'm a convicted felon. I can't own a firearm. I don't even know how to shoot a gun.
You don't know how to shoot a gun?
Last time I shot a gun, he said, I was duck hunting with Kevin McReynolds in 1988. Right. That's what he said. The old left fielder, right fielder for the Mets there.
On Nintendo even.
Yeah. Wally Backman, the old second baseman there, he said, quote, it hurts to see what's happened to him. We were really close friends, but it's kind of painful to see what's happened to him physically, mentally. It's like, not again. This is how I feel. That's what I feel on this and the last thing that happened. It's fuck, man. He says, I don't know the facts of the whole thing, though I've seen what his lawyer said, but just the fact that he put himself in the situation so many times, it's time to, I don't know, grow up and do the right thing.
That part is true.
Yes, and yes. Mm-hmm. August 2018, he's suing CAA, which is a major giant agency, not ours.
No.
We rep in UTA, bitches.
Right.
That's right. Sorry.
CAA.
Take that, CAA. They're fine. They're a very good agency. They're fine.
They didn't shop us.
They did, actually.
Oh, they did. That's right.
They did. They were actually liked us. They were good people, and they seem like very nice people.
They were very sweet.
We just like our people.
But Lenny is suing them.
Lenny's going to sue them, actually, here. And Lenny files suit with the New York Supreme Court here, suing CAA, saying that they screwed up his deal for a reality show. They says a reality series entitled Nails. He had signed a deal with Amazon to do all this thing. He says that the lawsuit says that he was approached by various TV producers to do a show. He entered into an agreement here, and within weeks, he was beginning to feel like he was being stonewalled by the agency. He said, quote, obviously, this is not my world, but it's very frustrating when my partners make me feel like everything is top secret. He wrote in an email, I don't believe I'm asking too much to be informed of what's going on with the docuseries. I was told by both of you that the show was basically sold, and it was just a matter of getting the details worked out. There's not been a single word from anyone regarding what the structure of the deal is and what you're trying to do. What's the amount of money up front? Who's in charge? Blah, blah, blah. He says he was informed he would be paid $200,000 for his work on the show, but he grew increasingly frustrated. He said, more importantly, when can I expect to get paid? What are the deal points? They said defendants cut plaintiff out of the deal with Amazon and greatly profited from his life story as a result of the failed Nails project, which is probably not true. Those agencies are really like on the up and up with their clients. They're super here's all the paperwork. You can look at anything at any time. Everything's there. They're very open.
The check, they take their cut, and then they send you yours.
And with a statement and a thing, and it's all very.
To your account.
They don't want any rumors of anything being bad because you're dealing with people who bringing in millions of dollars here. October 10th, 2018, the grand jury indicts him on drug charges from the Uber thing here and a bunch of other shit. Everything's a third-degree crime here, punishable by up to 5 years in prison. He says he was in fear of his life. What are you going to do here? December 2018, he's studying the Torah.
Oh, boy. What is he doing?
He's studying the Torah. He says, quote, I'm on a spiritual journey. I'm trying to find if God exists. I want to deal with people who are smarter than me. So he goes to this place.
Everybody.
That's pretty much everybody. He goes to this place to tag along and read the Torah. There. Okay. He said, he said they show one, he brings people with him, and he said, one of the 6 study attendees finished a soliloquy on Joseph's isolation. Dykstra looked up from his paper and said, you lost me, lady. So, yeah.
It's because you're not Jewish. That's Torah, right?
Yeah, it's Torah. And then he suggested that Joseph probably jerked off a lot in jail.
Oh, my God.
And everyone's like, okay.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did. Absolutely. I bet he was taking care of himself. And they said, quote, we enjoy his company. He's a great guy. A lot of fun. We can handle his unsavory language. It's okay. See, that's why Jews are cool jokes. As fuck. They're like, come on in. Who cares? They're great fucking people. So anyway, that's awesome.
Forgiving and kind in their house of
it's
worship.
Fine. It's fine. He said most people are very. One of the people said most people are on their best behavior around the rabbi. Lenny comes at it from a very raw angle.
Yeah.
He said they don't care.
Make child molestation jokes in a fucking Catholic church and see how fast you aren't removed.
No shit. No shit. Then after that, he leaves from reading the Torah and he calls the Uber case a joke. He said they misled the grand jury. It'll be resolved quickly. He said, I want to be the guy who's going to sue Uber for $100 million or make them $100 million. I don't know what that is here. He said his business plans are either getting $100 million from them or a betting service where retired players are the handicappers, and a secret idea for the rideshare industry that would give more power to drivers.
He's got to fucking mix it all together.
He's got business ideas. He's all ready to go here. January 25th, 2019, Lenny is suing Rebound Finance, which is the company that he was pushing for a while. He's saying that they're using his name and everything, his name, portrait, picture, and life story. They're using him without his permission now, and all this type of shit. That he was promised 25% of gross revenues in exchange for his celebrity status. They said Dykstra, however, never received a single payment of the percentage of the gross revenues under the contract. So there's that. February 2009, his neighbors are pissed off about a shitty house in Linden, New Jersey. Right. He has as many as 10 people living in a 2-story home in a decent neighborhood. Yeah. They said it's plagued with oversized piles of trash, transient tenants, and physical confrontations, as well as alleged prostitution and drug use.
God damn it. Sounds like it, though. Yeah. That's his life.
That's his life.
Yeah.
One of the neighbors said there's been 10 people living there at a time. He even made the garage into a room. So he doesn't care. Neighbors saw someone toss yellowish liquid out a second floor window.
That's called piss.
That's called a piss bucket. That's you can just go ahead and assume it's piss, unless it's in a Gatorade bottle. It's probably piss.
And it's probably still piss in a Gatorade jug.
Probably. And complained of hearing building noises coming from the house as if someone was using a hammer. And, this is so ridiculous.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, this whole thing, they say that inspectors visited the home and found a bedroom on the first floor, as well as 4 bedrooms, a laundry room, an office, 2 bathrooms on the second floor. Each room, however, had locks that Dykstra was unable to open with a key, inspectors told the outlet. So he's telling me, I can't get you in this room, sorry. This is all locked up. You can't inspect this because there's 8 crackheads in there.
Right.
They said as the owner actually resides in the house, he should be able to open the doors, inspectors wrote. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he said it was just me living here. Just all me.
These doors don't open. That's all right.
Police responded to the home September 13th, noting multiple on-site occupants, saying they all rented rooms rented a different room in this thing. This prompted a summons for Dykstra, who paid $500 fine for that, and also is ordered to remove all illegal occupants within a month or face additional penalties. He says that he called police in 2017 to report his paintings had been stolen from the house when he was on a trip to South Dakota. So it's not his fault. He disputes all this, saying all the trash and everything. He says, quote, he turned it into the best house on the block. He said, I took an ugly bitch and made her into a beautiful rock star.
What is with him and the... Why has he got to compare the house to a woman?
Maybe the other houses are jealous that I have the best house now.
That's why.
The other houses are jealous, not the other people. Wow. He says, this is fucking amazing, man. A neighbor said it all started when he moved in. There's been 2 overdoses. There's been a scuffle on the front lawn. There's been people who are here today, gone tomorrow. We don't know who these people are, and we're afraid.
Yeah.
Because they're crazy. Dykstra said he heard about the overdose, but he wasn't there. He said, quote, it was a construction worker. I guess OD'd. Okay.
I need him on meth so they can fucking finish this house. It's still an ugly bitch.
I give him it's an ugly bitch. I need a rock star. He said the giant pile of trash.
Yeah.
He said that's only because they picked the picture they took was from trash day. Uh-huh. He said once a month you can do like bulk trash, and that was that day. So that's obviously like that. He said I'm OCD, so you'd think I'd have trash out like that? That's garbage day, throwing out all the stuff from the work I did to make this house livable.
Right.
God damn it, make it a tax generating part of this community. Rock star. He says he kicked out all the tenants after being told they were illegally boarding there and has just one friend staying there for free. He said they asked me to do something, so I did it. I have a friend who stayed there. We are in America. It's my house.
Okay.
All right, then. About a week later, he said the house is going up for sale in 2 weeks. Just needs a final paint. We're going to put the makeup on it. Linden's a nice... Again with the woman
comparison. Everything is a female.
Everything. Linden's a nice place. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Didn't he say Linden, fucking New Jersey, the worst place ever?
Right. I would never live here.
But my goal in life was not to wake up in Linden, New Jersey every day, which. Honest, that's fine. He bought the home for $353,000 in 2017. Dykstra here, he says that police once responded to the home. This is the one he says, and again in this one he says an ugly bitch.
Yeah.
There, he says he transformed the bitch into a rock star. He said. The police only came one time, and that was after receiving a report of a woman screaming. But when they got over there, he said it was just his overly vocal girlfriend and him having sex.
Wow.
He said, quote, she's a screamer.
Yeah. She's a rock star.
A rock star. Yeah.
If you heard Charlie Sheen tell you that his house was an ugly bitch and he turned it into a rock star,
bitch. The other houses are fucking jealous. They're fucking
fit
jealous.
Right in.
Fit right in.
He's the most Charlie Sheen out of anybody that's not Charlie Sheen.
Jesus, this is fucking amazing. Jesus Christ, man. So, yeah, he ends up having to go for court there. He says he's wasting no time. He's moving to California. He says, I've improved the property values in this neighborhood. I'm not here to cause problems. I don't want any trouble. Someone's going to get a great house. This is a family house at the end of a cul-de-sac. You'll hear no noise, and it's a great place to live, unless me and all my crackheads are there.
Right.
Ron Darling's book comes out, and that's the one that said he shouted racial shit at Oil Cam Boyd. Daryl Strawberry says no. Daryl Strawberry didn't hear it, by the way, Daryl Stra, I think Lenny called his dick a, quote, mule cock, I believe is what he called it. I can't remember. He said he was physically afraid of Daryl Strawberry's genitalia. It was so large. Don't know why I had to add that, but I read it, so fuck you guys.
He genuinely said that.
So Daryl Strawberry said about Ron Darling, about Lenny Dykstra, quote, you don't do that. You don't make up things about a person that other players didn't hear or other players didn't know about. He said, of course, I would have never jumped on Dykstra about it if he ever said something. Or, of course, I would have jumped on Dykstra if he said something like that.
I strangled him with this mule dick.
I'd just wrap it around his damn neck. He said, I've never heard Lenny say anything racist. Never, ever. He's not. I know this guy. I've seen this guy. I came through him with the minor leagues. I've had him in my home. It's not true, and that's not fair. Ron Darling said, yeah, it is. Fuck that. He said, I've been advised not to say anything more about the subject because I don't want to bring any more momentum to Lenny, is what he says here. Keith Hernandez says, quote, we were down 2 games. It was game 3 in Boston. We were all ready to go. I do recall Lenny up there in the on-deck circle barking, but I was getting prepared and didn't hear a thing. So that was the final word because he was the closest guy nearby. March 15th, 2019. Jesus Christ, it goes on forever. This is the Uber shit here. He pleads guilty to petty disorderly persons offense here. He's sentenced to pay fines in order to have no contact with the Uber driver and not to take Uber anymore. The judge here says to him, quote, I hope you have learned a lesson from this.
He has not.
He said, absolutely not, and turned around and called somebody a racial slur. He does not know. Wow. The driver said that it was important that Dykstra entered a guilty plea. He said, quote, he admitted to what he did in my car. Basically, it's it feels like it vindicates him.
Weight off my shoulders.
Yeah, the drug charges were dropped because they said they did not have reason to search for drugs, only for guns. So that's what they were saying there. That's why he ends up getting off relatively easy here with disorderly conduct, $125 in fines. So that's it. He said, quote, my lawyer did a great job of presenting the facts. I'm happy this chapter of my life is behind me. April 2019, suing Ron Darling for that. Yeah, he says the apparent from the book's title and content is Darling's blatant attempt to sell his latest publication through a strategy of sensationalizing and shocking his audience. And, Darling seeks to prop himself up while destroying Mr. Dykstra. Destroying him. He's in housing court in New Jersey in May for the illegally renting out rooms. He has to pay $3,000 in fines there. He said he's found guilty, whatever, pays his fines, and as he's leaving court, they ask him about it, and he goes, I don't know, I've got bigger fish to fry. I don't care about this. June of 2019, he is at a Jersey Mike's sub shop near Linden, New Jersey. After his meal, he apparently accidentally threw away his $80,000 dentures. He says, quote, the bread is so hard on those subs, I took my teeth out and put them in a napkin, folded it up, and forgot them there.
So he gummed it?
He gummed it. It's so hard, I needed
a hot meat sub?
I don't know if it's hot. It could have been. It's Jersey Mike's.
Most of those are the hot subs.
You don't need to get them toasted.
No, I mean like the hot meat. Like it's a fucking steak cheese. You know what I mean?
Just be a turkey or roast beef. They have everything there. Yeah, that's I never get hot subs. It's gross.
Oh my God.
Unless it's like a chicken parm, which I'm not getting from a fucking deli.
Oh, the Philly chicken Philly.
Garbage from
fucking
there.
Great.
That place is garbage.
I love it.
You want oil and vinegar? Sure. And then they coat it so it's covered in it. Thanks. Never mind. Now it's garbage.
That's why you get the hot one. No oil and vinegar.
They don't know what they're doing in hot sub.
Meat and cheese.
The bread is so hard, so he said he pulled them in, folded them up, and forgot them there. He said it was only later I remembered. He said when I went back, the worker said they threw all the napkins in the garbage. I told them there was no fucking way I was leaving without my fucking teeth. So Dykstra and a friend of his who is a independent wrestler named Sprinkles the Clown. This cannot be happening. What could be more ridiculous than Lenny Dykstra rifling through a dumpster behind a Jersey Mike's, starting at sometime after 11 p.m. and going through the night for 9 hours.
9 hours digging through the trash with Sprinkles the Clown.
Sprinkles the Clown. At one point, Sprinkles fucking tweeted out, you want to come help me and Lenny Dykstra look for his dentures tonight? Or does anyone? This is a serious question.
I'm not fucking kidding you guys.
So
I know that you don't believe it. It's true. Tweet is true.
So Lenny Dykstra says, quote, "I was there for 9 hours. I thought the cops were going to arrest me for trespassing, but I wasn't leaving there with my teeth in that dumpster." Wow.
Did he find them?
He ended up finding them.
Wow.
Yeah, he ended up getting them back. And then now he is dealing with June 20th, 2019. This is like a fucking week ago. He's working on some diner. Mm-hmm. He's part of a team hoping to get a grant to take the Shalimar Diner in Rego Park to Long Island. Uh-huh. And the lot was sold for $6.5 million. It's a 45-year-old place. He's on the team. I don't understand why anybody would want him on there, but he's fucking on there. So yeah, he's doing that. And they said it's not clear when the diner will be moved. And that's what he's working on, though, trying to move diners to Long Island. Can't get enough.
No.
Lenny Dykstra, well, wait 3 days and he'll do something fucking crazy, because that was June 20th. It's been like a week.
Keep an eye on TMZ.
There's plenty of shit going on here. So, or follow on Twitter for in between times when he's just having personal meltdowns.
And searching for teeth.
Trying to fuck Lena Dunham or searching for his teeth with a fucking clown named Sprinkles.
Oh, boy.
That's Lenny Dykstra, everybody.
Again.
It's so nice we had to do it twice. Hope you liked that episode. If you do, please get on Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars. Doesn't matter what you say. Tell us you're following instructions or directions or whatever. It really helps drive us up the charts. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com for all of your t-shirts and all of your merchandising needs. And also listen to Small Town Murder while you're doing that. And get your tickets October 19th, CB Live in Phoenix. We don't know when the tickets are on sale, but I guarantee you, if you harass the venue, they'll put them on sale quickly.
Right.
That's what they do. So everybody break their balls. And they'll call us and go, "What the fuck?
Yeah.
What is happening?"
What's going on?
I don't know, man. Better sell tickets.
Are tickets on sale?
Better sell
Maybe
tickets.
That's what's up,
bitch. Let's pretend we're Lenny Dykstra.
Listen, your website is a fucking ugly bitch right now.
It looks a little faggy. That's all I'm saying.
Put our tickets up and make it a rock star.
That's it. Do it. Slap some lipstick on that pig.
Put some makeup on it.
So yeah, do all of that. Head over there. Once you're done there, head over to patreon.com/crime and sports, where you can become one of our producers, who we're going to talk about in just a moment. Or you can head over to PayPal and use our email address, which is crimeinsports@gmail.com. You can make a one-time donation there. Both those links are through the Shut Up and Give Me Murder site. Another thing you can find through Shut Up and Give Me Murder, social media. We are at Crime and Sports on Twitter, at Crime and Sports on Facebook, at Small Town Murder on Instagram. And without further ado, let's hear the list of the most fantastic people in the world. Hit me with them like a goddamn, I don't know, gun to the head in the front of an Uber. Do it to me, Jimmy.
This week's executive producers are Jordan Bennett, Justin Miller, Erica Larson, John Sabrisi, Shannon Feltus and her podcast, You Are That, Jesper Vernerson, Amelia Penko, and Dylan Mundy and Muriel Mundy had their first anniversary.
Hey,
so happy anniversary to both
Thank
of you.
you. Jesus.
And thank you very much, all
Heroes.
of you, for really coming through for us.
You're all incredible. Thank you guys so much.
We also have Esme Alford, Karen Hinton, Jason Elsis, Thomas Smith, Jeff Rapp, Jennifer Strong, Bruce Harms, Brendan Abels, Jen Rogers. Is that Jen or John? I think it's John. It might be Jen. Oh, shit. No, that's John. That's John
Rogers.
Rogers.
John Jen. Thank you. Thank you, John Jen.
It might be Joni Rogers.
Joni. Joni!
Fuck, I write terribly.
Joni!
Kelly Higby, Stephanie Alexander, Liz Vasquez, Ink Stained Studios, Jesse Hartman, Mike McGinnis, James Martyr, Tyler Forsyth, Christine Womack, Samantha Quigley. What did I do? Is that Corey? Oh, no. Carly Howard, I think.
Fucking handwriting. Type this shit out.
Why did I do that?
Good God.
Gary Howard.
Gary Howard. Yeah, we know Gary Howard, too. Thanks, Gary.
Sorry, Carly.
He's driving around in a truck going, Jesus. Gary, you fucking idiot. It's Gary. I'm in a truck. You know me. I've met you 8 times.
Siobhan Howard. Thanks, no, Siobhan Brogan. Tim.
Please, Tim. Next time you come to a live show, Gary, make fun of Jimmy for that after the show. Don't kill him, but make fun of him during the meet and greet.
Tim Maney, Kylie Clancy, Trace Childs, Courtney Fligler, Tyler Gwill, Alex Ball, David Cohen, Julie Crum, Louise May.
Pardon? But go back to Alex Ball for a minute. That's
Alex
a good name.
Ball, David Cohen, Julie Crum, Louise Rayfield.
There we go. If I get you on a roll, it would just come out.
Eric Michael Showers, I hope you do. Jude Kendall, Sam May. Stephen Rude, Amy Northrup, Michael Bustamante, Lynn Gross, Adam O'Daney, Jenna Lynn Wolf, yes, Sean
Yes.
N, Krista Walker. Thank you so much, Krista. I hope you're doing better.
Yeah.
Abdul John or Jan, and then there is also Adam Rothman, Rachel Fincher, Alicia Massey, Rokio Valdez, Taylor Hahn, Scott Barr, James Acelta, Yi Jing Tan, Michelle D. Mills, Dan McCabe, Noki Wheeler, Geneva Thornhill, Kayla Marquardt, Alex Hopper, Jason Stone, Tina Russell, Ricky Bryant, Fiona McKeon, Wendy Skedsel, Adrian Thomas, thanks again, appreciate you.
Thank you.
Alyssa Camacho, Hank Hollander, Catherine Krunenwetter, Jeremy Binder, and Jonathan Jarisovich. You guys, thank you so much, especially Carly Howard.
Thank you, everybody, so much. And apologies for the length of this episode. But we got to help it.
This is why.
It's fucking so much.
You have to.
This could have been 4 episodes.
Sports was early. Sports was quick.
We could have done this. Could have been twice as long.
This could have been 5 hours.
We could have spent so much time on these, but we tried to get through it.
If you'd have told me that rock star bitch line earlier,
we would have had all night.
Interrupted you all night.
All fucking night long. So, Jimmy, why don't you, where do people want to call you a bitch? Where can they do it?
You can find me at Whisman Sucks, WHISMAN Sucks on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for everything you sent me. I appreciate it. What about you? Where can they find you?
You can find me at Jimmy P is funny. You can do that or copy and paste my last name from the show description. Don't be a hero and try to spell it. And thank you, everybody, for cards and shit for my birthday. I really, really appreciated that. That was really awesome of you guys. I got a ton of cards in the mail, and it was just really, really cool. Thank you, guys. You know how to make somebody feel like people give a shit about them. So thank you guys immensely for everything you do for us and for everything else and for the whole world. Damn it. You're doing God's work. That said, we can't wait to see you next week live from the Crime and Sports Studios. We will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.